Bene, 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 raga. Ciao a tutti. Oggi andremo a vedere, come vedete, il titolo, lo showcase che sicuramente non durerà poco, ma sono la bellezza di 3 ore, ma sicuramente potremmo anche superarlo, perché comunque faremo anche una reazione dietro a questo video, a tutte queste serie di videogiochi che vedremo oggi. In teoria è passato quasi circa 3 settimane, tutte, quasi un mese è passato, difatti, se ne dovessimo andare a vedere qua, 2 settimane fa alla fine, quasi tre, dai, quasi 3 settimane fa. Sarà lungo sicuramente, ma se non lo facevo, non lo prendevo un giorno di pomeriggio, lo facevo di notte e finivo in orari esorbitanti. E questo lo volevo evitare con tutte le mie forze. Quindi io direi incominciamo, perché qui ci sarà tanto da raccontare.
Old web of RPG crafting and survival systems. Maybe the real main story was the base I built along the way.
Cioè,
Once you build a flame altar out of a few common resources, you too can begin quickly plopping down your own structures, your own
naturalmente l'ho messo già in automatico io con i sottotitoli, così perlomeno comprendiamo qualcosa di più di quello che dice.
furnishings, your own crafting stations, and so forth. Even if you don't get fancy, setting up flame altars is necessary to make progress while exploring the map, since aside from a few sparsely located fast travel towers, the only places that you can quickly teleport back to are your custom bases. Enshrouded's most exciting discoveries are usually when you stumble on a piece of lore in a remote location, pointing you to a dungeon with some hidden treasure or a jumping puzzle, or a house or something. That's most often where new block types for your buildings and other crafting.
Però Ford comunque, cioè, come questo mantello sembra un po' quel gacha, quel tipo di gacha di Genshin Impact. Hanno creato questa specie di mantello che fa far scendere giù forte.
Or something. That's most often where new block types for your buildings and other crafting materials are stashed away for you to permanently unlock. There's no critical path in the traditional sense, meaning if you want to travel further out, you do need to keep upgrading your flame. That's the force that keeps your avatar alive, even in the lethal and otherworldly shroud that covers vast swaths of the map. Surviving within the shroud is extra challenging since you only get a limited duration to stay alive inside of it. Your timer will only restore itself when you resurface or find hourglass capsules. Take too long and you'll eventually die. You can't fast travel to safety while inside of it either, adding a welcome layer of danger to what might otherwise be straightforward excursions into the wild. Upgrading your flame means the shroud is less capable of killing you, but you'll need to grind quite a bit to get there, and in that aspect, Enshrouded could do with a little more handholding. Without proper guidance, it's possible to spend hours running in circles looking for certain items without any notion of their whereabouts. When you finally do upgrade your flame level, you're granted access to distant, higher level biomes, of which
Vediamo una cosa. 120, no, fammi 1080 HD.
there are
Così ce lo
currently
vediamo.
4, like the dry plains of the Nomad Highlands and the sand-strewn desert expanse of the Kindle Wastes. And once you venture far enough beyond the starting areas, Enshrouded's decently sized bestiary begins to take shape. Two of my favorite opponents are the devastating dragon-like Wisp Wyvern and the overpowering Vuka Brawler, both of whom present a balanced challenge and drop powerful gear after you beat them. Unfortunately, gaining experience points to reach Enshrouded's level cap of 25 is often mind-numbingly slow, especially since leveling is mainly relegated to combat. But I was delighted to find its nuances do eventually begin to come together once you reach level 15 or so. Using this sophisticated skill tree system, I managed to build my character into a powerful wand and shield wielding battle mage with a unique fighting style that
È forte però pensare che questo lanci puzzette dappertutto. Più per proposito di infliggere quantità ridicole di danni del fuoco, cioè queste puzzette che lancia.
Let me do ridiculous amounts of fire damage.
Hazard Home. Beh, sembra interessante. Magari chi lo sa se lo daranno anche per il Game Pass. Chi lo sa. È quello che abbiamo visto adesso.
Simply running around Enshrouded's map and finding new stuff is already fun enough to carry it. Biomes are liberally strewn with abandoned villages and forts, map-expanding ancient obelisks, these fast travel towers I mentioned earlier, and so forth. Ironically, these points of interest are at their best when they're treated like high fantasy set dressing to hide loot and fight some monsters in before sending you on your merry way. Conversely, Enshrouded is at
La cosa bella è che quando si lancia non perde l'energia, quanto vedo. Una roba del genere con Genshin dopo un po' ti saresti schiantato vivo. Invece che qua, a quanto
fight some
vedo...
monsters in before sending you on...
no, vedi, tipo Genshin, stile è quello. Cioè, non avevo visto il cerchietto dell'energia che se ne andava quando salta in quel modo, tenendo il tasto sinistro.
On your merry way. Conversely, Enshrouded is at its worst when it tries to introduce puzzles of any sort, and a good chunk of its areas are gated by uninspired challenges that just involve flipping some
Se non avesse saltato bene, avrebbe ripetuto il gioco. Se non fosse con quegli spuntoni.
switches to open a nearby door while skirting around basic traps. But at least these lukewarm puzzles are only a minuscule part of Enshrouded's overall experience. Whether you're adventuring or designing your dream base, almost every part of Enshrouded's art style is visually...
Molte persone sicuramente si lamenteranno per non riuscire a superare pienamente quel livello. Cioè, li fanno questi giochi, ma non calcolano affatto queste cose quando questo sistema.
Captivating, making it dangerously easy to lose yourself in its homespun fantasy world. Enshrouded is capable of looking like this and still running consistently at its max settings. But that's assuming you're playing it on the right set of hardware. I was doing so on a desktop equipped with a 4070 Ti, a Ryzen 3900X, and 32 gigs of RAM. Meanwhile, my friend, playing on a gaming laptop with only marginally inferior specs, unexpectedly described a much less polished experience, with plenty of immersion-breaking glitches and bugs, so your mileage may vary. It's great that I could build a glider and a grappling hook to move around the open world quicker in the absence of any rideable mounts, but the control scheme feels at odds with itself. For instance, frantically tapping the spacebar to make my sluggish avatar jump faster will often make me unintentionally launch into glider mode and fly off a cliff. Or cause me to accidentally shoot my grappling hook at an off-screen grappling point and then go flying when I just meant to loot something off the ground. It's extra disappointing that I can't just use the grappling hook whenever I want, since it relies on very specific grappling hook anchors. They're sparsely located, and using them costs an exorbitant amount of stamina, which is a real shame when you actually want to swing somewhere. Even after putting resources into upgrading both the grappling hook and the glider to higher tier versions later in the campaign, they still felt stunted by Enshrouded's unfairly limited stamina pool, until you eventually bump up your endurance with food items and stat boosting skills. This web of unlockable skills is so diversely stacked with interesting moves that it sucks I needed to invest my limited skill points into things diversely stacked with interesting moves.
Ma che senso dà scrivere certe cose? Perché le creano se poi dopo ti scrivono interessanti che fa schifo?
That it sucks I needed to invest my limited skill points into things like double jumping and stamina drain reductions to make Enshrouded's movement feel good at all. That's made exponentially more challenging by Enshrouded's overly aggressive enemy AI, which attacks relentlessly in unpredictably large groups, giving me the impression these encounters are tuned for much snappier controls. It's also a little annoying that every piece of equipment, aside from armor, has a durability meter, including legendary weapons. It's great you can auto-repair everything in your inventory at a workbench or an anvil, but the former is only available at a custom base, and the latter is often too rare to rely on.
Craftwork.
When it comes time to level up your crafting capabilities, Enshrouded requests a rather large stockpile of patience while you set up a sophisticated pipeline of raw resources and material refining stations. For instance, crafting armor requires tons of wood and dirt, which you'll need to burn into charcoal, which is then needed to eventually smelt ore into ingots. But everything has its uses in other parts of this deep crafting ecosystem too. For instance, dirt is also important in both farming and alchemy, and wood is an obvious key ingredient in carpentry. Establishing a steady stream of each of these resources equates to many repeated cycles of looting, mining, cultivating, refining, and eventually crafting. That can get tedious if you try to do everything all at once, but at the same time, it's exciting to lug the next piece of crafting equipment back to your base after a long expedition.
Perfect. Oh.
Enshrouded will likely be an instant hit for anyone who's ever wanted to build a castle in a fantasy world full of danger. And hey, it makes all that building fun and easy with an intuitive set of tools. But even if you don't care much about crafting, Enshrouded's RPG systems are already solid enough to carry you through its open world for a few dozen hours, even if its vague story and puzzles are forgettable, and its combat and movement systems could use some fine-tuning. Thankfully, there's usually no pressure to do anything but try to unlock the next visually breathtaking area, and that made for a smooth 62-hour journey. For more, check out our reviews of Palworld or Like a Dragon Infinite.
Forte questo draghetto. Non so chi l'avrà realizzato, ma è forte sto draghetto. Visto in questo modo. Vabbè. No, è direttamente incenerito. Palworld.
A quick
Il
note, this
classico
review
gioco
is
degli
only for the
animali.
PC version of Palworld that's available through Steam. Later this week, we'll have a separate review of the version available on Xbox and through the Microsoft Store on PC, which is the version you get access to with Game Pass, as that one is currently on an older build.
Sì, vabbè, questo ci sono arrivati anch'io che del Game Pass. C'è all'interno anche del Game Pass in questo gioco.
Significantly more issues that make it a genuinely different experience. But for now, on with the Steam review. Nothing about what Palworld does seems like it should work. A thinly veiled Pokémon
Peccato che non ci siano le padelle
to its adorable
per
monsters.
queste belle galline che ci sono qua.
A base building survival game where you use your kidnapped creatures as laborers and may even resort to eating them when times get tough. An open world co-op adventure where you and your friends do this to harvest leather. Defying the odds, this wholly irreverent, gun-toting take on the creature collection genre has been unrelentingly fun across the 100+ hours I've spent shooting cartoon kittens in the face. As an early access game, it's got plenty of bugs and performance issues, and sure, it shamelessly cribs the design for many of its collectible creatures. But its survival mechanics are intuitive and deep, its action-packed combat is silly and satisfying, and exploring its world in search of new pals to kick the snot out of hasn't come close to getting old.
Palworld. Magari ci sarà sicuramente
Despite
qualche
the clear,
aggiornamento.
eyebrow-raising inspiration it takes from a certain creature-collecting powerhouse, Palworld more closely resembles a formulaic survival game like Grounded, with a roster of lovable monsters to capture as a clever twist on that formula. You find yourself inexplicably dropped into the wilderness of a strange land filled with oversized, dangerous beasts called pals. From there, you'll need to build a base, hilariously force the local fauna into your servitude, and upgrade your gear.
Per
You won't
dire
find
che
yourself
comunque è
hanging out in
come,
idyllic
è
town.
come l'introduzione è piuttosto bella lunga, perché sono 47 minuti e 20, non è che hanno fatto 10 minuti, quasi
Or
un'ora,
challenging gym leaders to friendly contests.
un'ora di
This isn't that
introduzione.
kind of adventure. Instead, your goal is to survive the harsh land and face off against psychotic PAL trainers who raise villages, attack your base, and command foreboding towers and dungeons filled with goons who shoot to kill. And yeah, tonally, that's an utterly unhinged combination. One moment, I was taking in pastoral views as I explored for new pals. The next, I was firing guns at armed thugs and considering the possibility of butchering a pal who had been mentally broken by the poor working conditions of my sweatshop in order to avoid starvation. Rather than not addressing the questionable aspects of the creature collecting genre, Pal World amusingly leans into them and lets you do absurd things like pick up your fiery fox pal and use it as a flamethrower to burn your enemies to a crisp. Or equip your monkey pal with a machine gun. I mean,
Cioè,
it
di
sure beats
Valera questo!
or equip your monkey pal to you do absurd things
Una volpe che sputa fuoco in questa maniera, l'hanno trasformato in un drago qui.
like pick up your fiery fox pal and use it as a flamethrower to burn your enemies to a crisp.
Hanno trasformato una volpe in un
Or
drago.
equip your monkey pal with a machine gun. I mean, it sure beats Tail Whip. Once you get over how incredibly weird that all feels, it's a complete blast. Catching pals out in the open world is a ton of fun, though it's definitely a bit weird to hack a small penguin unconscious with an axe before you can stuff it into a pal sphere. Or, even more alarmingly, do this. Oh no, that penguin got ice
Poverino.
capped. It feels extremely wrong at first, to be sure, but I found myself disturbingly used to the ritual after just a few
Guarda che
hours. I
sembrano
mean,
una
is doing the
corona.
dirty work myself really all that different from battling them with another captured creature
Quello
instead?
strano animale.
The pals themselves, on the other hand, aren't quite as original as the process of catching them, as I described the majority of them as almost copyright infringement. Seriously, just look at them. Oh, someone's gonna get sued. Someone's gonna get sued. That said, uninspired and derivative as they are, the designs are still mostly pretty neat and have a lot of personality, which makes each one a ton of fun to hunt and do battle against. I'm especially fond of this completely helpless blob. Aw, the poor guy's trying his best. Though capturing, leveling up, and fighting alongside pals is a major and awesome part of the adventure, you'll likely spend much more time hanging out at the various bases you'll build. Just like most other survival games, you'll need to keep a steady stream of crafting materials flowing in, like wood, stone, and food. And the key to automating that process so you don't spend endless hours mind-numbingly chopping down trees and swatting rocks with a pickaxe is by making clever use of the pals themselves. For
Carino
example,
però quel
farming could
pinguino,
soak up lots of
cazzo.
your time as
Troppo
you plant
bello.
seeds, water your plots, and then harvest the crops. But once you've captured some pals
Un
and
po'
put
meno
them to work
l'altro
at
che
your base,
sputano
you
acqua
can have them do it
ghiacciata.
all for you. This pal-based cooperation is not only
Cioè, parte
ridiculously
come se...
adorable. This
Cioè,
pal-based
vedendola così sembra che parta con... come se fosse dell'acqua in stato liquido e poi dopo diventa nel ghiaccio dopo. Come se fosse una magia, tipo anche questo qua, si vede anche meglio.
base, you can have them do it all for you.
Sono due oggetti
This
completamente diversi,
pal-based
però...
cooperation is not only ridiculously adorable to watch, but gives you
Questo
even
vuol
more
dire che si
reasons
può
to catch
giocare
every
persino
creature
in
you find.
coop.
You might not have much use for the fox-like pal Fox Sparks in battle, but if you keep one at your
Vabbè.
base whenever you fire up the grill to cook or use the furnace to smelt some ingots, your charming fire friend will come running.
Beh, se me lo fai così è perfetto per cucinarci anche due bistecche alla griglia. Se tu ci metti questo strano animale poi sotto a sputare il fuoco con la griglia sopra è perfetto. Puoi farci anche una
To make
grigliettina.
the task go by faster. Even the weakest creatures give you a whole new reason to catch not just one of them, but a whole bunch to put to work. As you level up your character and capture pals with different abilities, you'll be able to transform your bases from shabby camps to industrialized fortresses, complete with conveyor belts for your pals to go to work assembling weapons and ammo for you to use against enemies. A hilarious transformation that made me question how much better I was than the villainous rival trainers I faced out in the wilds. Getting away from the base to explore the absolutely enormous map and look for hidden chests and eggs, battle dangerous boss pals, raid dungeons stuffed with loot, or chat with a handful of NPCs and vendors scattered throughout the wilderness is consistently fun. In one area, I got chased by these guys. In another, I found a creepy black market trader who sold rare, probably illicitly obtained pals. And in another, I watched a squad of suicidal toucan pals rush into a camp of poachers and self-detonate. Ouch! Once you unlock the ability to ride pals, especially flying ones, the world really opens up. There's miles and miles to explore.
Per Sharele, però sta diventando un po' buio qua, vedo.
Overrun with goblin pals. There's even an active volcano to be scaled, where all the pals are predictably.
Ma per il momento non piove ancora. Presto arriverà un bel po' di acqua, già vedendo scuro così.
Made of fire. Crafting gear and leveling your pal squad to survive increasingly unwelcoming parts of the world is rewarding, not just because of all the interesting new pals to find and capture, but because certain biomes will give you access to materials you'll need to bring your base and equipment to the next level. Even cooler, there are always at least a few massive spires rising in the distance, serving as a reference for your ultimate goal, to reach them all and challenge the lethal bosses lurking within. Like most survival games, everything Palworld offers immediately becomes more fun when joined by friends in multiplayer. Up to 32 people can be in a single server on the Steam version, though that number is currently capped to a paltry 4 on Xbox and through the Microsoft Store. Running wild throughout the open world, taking down powerful bosses together, and managing a collective base all work without hassle. And co-op also alleviates some of the stress of having to grind for resources all the time, if those friends are willing to chip in and not steal all your stuff, that is. It probably goes without saying for an early access game, but be warned that you are bound to encounter technical issues and bugs on occasion.
Quello che è uscito fino ad adesso è era praticamente un gioco uscito in anticipo. Modo migliore per farsi i tuoi soldini, diciamoci la verità, dai.
Fortunately, mostly minor so far, but I have been hit with rough frame rates and stuttering, hard crashes, and multiplayer disconnects, though none of that was so commonplace or game-breaking that it ever significantly got in the way of good times. There's a lot more that Palworld could benefit from, like a fleshed-out story, more NPCs, or adding evolutions for the pals to avoid so many of them becoming irrelevant at higher levels. But I'm surprised by how polished the whole package already feels at this early stage. Even in its early access state, Palworld is amusingly irreverent, has a surprising amount of content and deep survival mechanics, and is absurdly difficult to put down. It's impossible to overlook just how shamelessly it takes ideas and designs from Pokemon, and it's got some unsurprising bugs and performance issues.
No, quello lì
Right
proprio
on the back of
è
a flying
brutto,
dragon and
madonna.
shooting a blue duck with an
Come hanno
assault
fatto a
rifle, most
farlo
of those blemishes
realizzare
wash
così?
away entirely. This is already one of my favorite survival games, and I'm incredibly excited to see how it evolves.
Come si muove
check
quella
out our
gallina?
reviews of Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown and Turnip Boy
Drago
Robs a Bank.
volante.
And for everything else, stick with IGN.
Come ha fatto a muoversi? Vediamo un po' una battaglia dopo una lunga spiegazione. Palworld.
Hey, you're the professor's
Adesso
assistant,
cambiamo
Jeremy, right?
completamente videogioco.
Yes, but no. I'm Harold Halibut.
Almost all video games are painstakingly made by human hands,
Questa
but
non
Harold Halibut takes that idea so
probabilmente avranno
literally
messo
that you
il
can
nome
almost spot the
di...
fingerprints of its creators on.
Probabilmente avranno messo il nome del personaggio che ha realizzato il video facilmente. Quindi ormai è fatto.
Hey, you're the professor's assistant, Jeremy, right?
Yes, but no. I'm Harold Halibut.
Almost all video games
Cioè, Tristan Ogilvie, che sia stato lui a creare questo videogioco. Giorgio la Tristan Ogilvie.
are painstakingly made by human hands, but
Vediamo.
Harold Halibut takes that idea so literally that you can almost spot the fingerprints of its creators on screen. This colorful, story-driven adventure features meticulously hand-sculpted
Questo si vede
characters
già che è
that
una
have been seeded in
grafica.
detailed
Questo qui si vede già ad occhio nudo che è una grafica leggermente più alta rispetto a quella che abbiamo visto con
miniature
Palworld.
sets, digitally scanned, and brilliantly brought to life in a 12-hour interactive stop-motion movie that we get to star in. Yet, like the oceanic world in which it takes place, Harold Halibut is deeper than it first appears. I came for the unconventional art style, but I stayed for the cast of quirky characters and a playful mystery to unravel that features plenty of warmth and humour beneath its striking stop-motion surface. Set a couple of hundred years into the future, the events of Harold Halibut take place on the Fedora, an Ark-like spaceship that evacuated Earth during the peak of the Cold War in the 1970s. It
Beh,
later crash
diciamoci che questa mappa è abbastanza comunque realistica.
evacuated Earth
Cioè,
during the
se loro dovessero già raccontare in questo modo quelli erano i paesi dell'URSS, qua ci sono tutti, tranne quelli dell'Africa, ma genericamente c'erano tutti i paesi dell'URSS, qua specialmente, confronto alla NATO.
the peak of the Cold War in the 1970s. It later crash landed into the gloomy waters of a distant ocean planet, where it has remained ever since under the rule of the slightly suspect All Water Corporation. You strap on the work boots of the titular Harold Halibut, a
Però
hand-painted
personaggi fatti in questo modo sono veramente orrendi.
handyman who serves as a lab assistant in the ship's science wing. The opening hours of the story are spent running menial daily tasks like cleaning filtration systems and scrubbing walls, before the unexpected arrival of an alien being draws Harold into a considerably more captivating quest.
Oh, did you see that?
With his amusing objections to the local water
È più
tube-based
bella la-
public
più
transport
bella la
system that
grafica che il
flushes him
resto.
from one place to another like a discarded tissue down a toilet,
Bello.
and his tendency to sing goofy songs while performing his daily duties, I found Harold to be a particularly charming and relatable hero.
My best friend is a mop. I work till I drop.
The fact that he was born on the Fedora and its boundaries are the only world he's ever
Mi dà
known
tanto- mi dà
means that when
tanto-
Harold's adventure eventually
Mi dà tanto l'idea che questo gioco sia anche doppiato.
takes him beyond its
Sentirlo
man-made walls,
parlare così.
his sense of awe at his uncharted alien surroundings neatly mirrored my own.
It's exciting not knowing what I'm gonna see next.
The subaquatic setting of the Fedora itself is a bit like Bioshock's Rapture had it been created by Wes Anderson as opposed to Ken Levine. It's effectively a series of interconnected dollhouse dioramas, from a bustling shopping mall to industrial research labs, and the human touch is always apparent in the form of the imperfectly painted edges on background props and the knitted fabrics of the characters' clothing.
This scarf will keep you cozy and stylish.
The rustic, tangible nature of its world is just begging to be poked and prodded, so it's a slight shame that there's a surprisingly low level of interactivity to be found in this setting, outside of Harold's early chores and a handful of playable coin-op games in its local arcade. In fact, while Harold Halibut may resemble a point-and-click adventure at first glance, it doesn't actually play like one. There's no inventory of objects to collect and combine, nor any challenging puzzles to complete. While there are the odd uncomplicated mini-games to enjoy, such as steering a surveillance camera strapped to a remote-controlled car through a maze of air vents, or removing the exterior panels of a 3D printer with some satisfyingly tactile turns of a screwdriver,
I think you're nearly there.
The vast majority of objectives in Harold Halibut simply require you to seek out a specific character and trigger a conversation with them in order to progress the increasingly fascinating narrative.
Just doing my usual rounds.
This did unfortunately lead to a lot of trudging back and forth through the same small set of rooms and corridors, which made me acutely aware of how sluggish and occasionally unresponsive the run button can be. Thankfully, the actual interactions you have with each citizen aboard the Fedora are more often than not entertaining enough to make the lengthy amount of legwork feel worthwhile.
I bet you've never seen a meaner wiener.
Hello there. No, I haven't.
There's an indistinguishable quartet of quirky quadruplets to encounter across the various commercial and industrial sectors of the ship.
Hello, Mr. Secretary. 8, right?
I'm afraid not. You must be thinking of my brother, Secretary 8. Or Secretary 24, of course.
Oh, sorry. I always get that mixed up.
As well as a friendly Fabio-styled muscle man to watch strange soap operas with on Harold's break room television.
I thought season 18 was bad, with all the drama around Emery's cousin and whatnot. It's worth powering through to season 36, though. That's where the plot really thickens.
My favourite, though, is Slippy, the proprietor of the local skiing supply store, who's quick with a pun and eager to wow Harold with his latest hilariously ill-conceived infomercial.
Well, what did you think?
There were lots of things, and...
Great! So glad you agree.
Harold Halibut might be set thousands of leagues under the sea, but its humour stays dry throughout.
Hey there.
The name is Eve, not there.
Oh.
And I returned to speak with the locals even when the story didn't demand it, so that I didn't miss out on any of its many funny and often sentimental conversations.
Harold! Well, hello, it's been a while.
Professor, Sai.
Oh, hey, Harold.
Mr.
What's
Fire.
more jumpy than a caffeinated frog, hmm?
Wait till you see this.
There's a lot more to it beyond idle chit-chat, of course, and an unlikely series of events drags Harold to all four corners of the Fedora, and eventually beyond it into the dazzling dayglow underwater depths of an undiscovered peace-loving alien.
Ma guardate qua. È bellissimo. Magari tolgo un secondo via la cam. Guardate qua. Dove rimetto? Bellissimo. Troppo bello. Adesso mi rimetto,
Alien colony. Here, Harold Halibut becomes an entertaining fish out of water.
C'è una grafica stupenda.
Story, despite somewhat ironically being about a human deep underwater who happens to be named after a fish.
I offer you human greetings.
Harold Halibut's journey is heartwarmingly wholesome throughout, full of intrigue and a sense of adventure but never mean-spirited, and the illusion of its spellbinding stop-motion style is only occasionally shattered when characters clip through parts of their surroundings. Given how enchanting Harold Halibut's homespun world is then, it's a slight disappointment that there are no extras to unlock upon completing its campaign. There are admittedly a couple of short making-of clips to be found online, but I would have loved to have gotten a better look into the development process in the form of concept art or behind-the-scenes videos of the creation of the character puppets and sets. Unfortunately, developer Slowbros hasn't shared any insight into Harold Halibut's production here, which certainly doesn't take anything away from the overall experience, but it does seem like a bit of a missed opportunity to put a spotlight on its remarkably inventive design.
Molto bello.
It may take place at the bottom of the ocean on a distant alien planet, but Harold Halibut's story is an entirely human one, both in terms of its carefully handmade environments and its strong emphasis on empathy towards its eccentric cast of characters. While I wish there was a little more interactivity to be found throughout its subaquatic setting, and Harold's shuffling run could have been boosted to a sprint to reduce the time spent repeatedly schlepping from one end of its levels to the other, I nonetheless remained captivated by his whimsical quest to unite his community and explore the spectacular surroundings of his sunken home. Consistently funny and full of surprises, Harold Halibut is a wholesome, handcrafted adventure with plenty of heart.
Great! Everyone say ciao to Mr. Halibut.
Ciao, Mr. Halibut!
For more IGN reviews, check out our verdicts on Botany.
Ciao, Mr. Halibut!
si è capito niente. Perfetto.
For more IGN reviews, check out our verdicts on Botany Manor and Children of the Sun, and for everything else, stick with IGN.
Cioè, cosa significherebbe questo? No, vabbè. Un altro gioco. Hello Breaking Game. Figo. Ah, ho capito, sì. Si può anche giocare con Steam, ma immagino che comunque sia
So
lo
this
dovrò
studio was actually
pagare.
founded in 2020, in the early 2020s, just before the pandemic actually hit. All of us were actually from
Bello, un po' di
AAA
dietro alle
studios. We
quinte
had
ci
the
voleva.
chance to work on some amazing franchises in the past, but we had the chance to meet and talk about what we wanted to build for a new company. So yeah, we've decided to launch this studio in actually February 2020.
Però avevamo visto
So the
anche,
idea behind the
stiamo
Elaborate Games
vedendo
was
anche
to have
che
a
chi
studio
c'è
that would
dietro
actually
a
be
questo
small by
gioco.
choice. So we wanted to, scope a project that would fit with a smaller team but with big ambitions. Early in the process, we started making some pillars, not for only the game, but actually for the company, and those pillars would actually translate well to the games. The first one was emergent gameplay. That allows us as a small team to actually build interesting systems so player can actually interact with those systems and we'll have more playtime.
Another pillar that we had was making sure we built a world that was kind of worth watching. We really wanted to make sure, and tied to that pillar was also kind of
Ma
Wonderland
poi
Tree.
è una grafica veramente spettacolare.
So we really wanted to build, identify and discover kind of beautiful colors in dark places. We felt there was an opportunity to build worlds where players actually wanted to escape to, not to escape from. I would say for us, one of the things that really drove us to build our first game, Eternal Strength, here at Yellow Brick Games, was this passion to build fantastic worlds. We wanted to build a game that had a lot of sense of action and adventure in it. And even though we were a smaller team, we still had very ambitious ideas. And being a team that has a lot of experience building third-person games, so we knew that was very important from the beginning as well. But we wanted to go into this action and adventure space, really reevaluating the rule set, like really challenging ourselves on the world logic, understanding how does fire propagate, what does cold do to different types of materials like metal versus wood, and how can we embrace these things to be gameplay ingredients for the players to creatively play with and discover along their adventure through the game.
Let's not forget we're just a bunch of people who were in a garage having a conversation about how it would be cool to actually interact with those big creatures in a different way that other games don't do. And yeah, I think we said, you know what, that's the game we want to make.
Absolutely. I mean, for sure, all of us first and foremost are big gamers. We play everything.
Vabbè, sicuramente.
But for sure, games like Shadows of Colossus, The Legend of Zelda, where it went from Breath of the Wild to Tears of the Kingdom, We played a lot of, Mike and I especially, and Tom played a lot of Dragon's Dogma, and it's something we wanted to see come back, and we're so happy
Hanno
now
voluto
that
creare un
Dragon Dogma
gioco
2 is
simile
out,
a
so it's great to see what
Dogma.
Capcom is doing with that franchise. Monster Hunter is another fan favorite in the office as well, so all of these kind of inspired us, and hopefully we can inspire
Ci
back in
sono
every way
ispirati.
we can.
Anche altri giochi.
So the little girl in the logo, her name is Dorothy. She is actually my daughter, who sadly passed away from cancer.
Cosa? Cioè, leggi questo. Mi dispiace sicuramente vedere certe cose.
A couple of years ago. So we decided to actually bring her the adventure. So this is why we call the studio Yellow Brick Games. For us, there's two reasons. The first one is as we make those games, we wanted to make sure that the
Per realizzare questo gioco solo perché gli fa ricordare che sua figlia che non c'è più.
to make the game would be as fun as actually shipping the game for everybody in the studio. So all the values of the company are built around that. And the second one is we wanted to Dorothy to become the symbol of courage and passion for everybody. So she's integrated in the company.
She's our warrior princess.
Exactly.
Per realizzare questo videogioco. Chi se l'avrebbe mai immaginato una cosa simile?
Almost 10 years now. I started out in QA, working in Montreal, doing all kinds of different little projects. Then I transitioned to being a writer at Ubisoft Quebec for about 5 years. I worked on titles like Assassin's Creed Odyssey, Immortals Phoenix Rising, and a ton of DLCs for the Assassin's Creed brand, which was super fun.
My background specifically is, a BioWare guy is probably a good way to look at it. I was pressed for a while, but I started with Jade Empire and was the lead writer on that project back 2003 to 2006. Worked on Mass Effect 1 for a while. I wrote a huge swath of the Citadel that eventually got cut, so no one ever saw it or learned the great history of the haggis that was on sale there. But from that, I moved on to the Dragon Ages and ended up basically lead design and creative director for Dragon Age Inquisition, Origins, Dragon Age 2, and all the DLC up until whatever Dreadwolf turns out to be, which I'm excited because I won't be spoiled.
I ultimately wanted to join an independent studio because I was really interested in what small teams can accomplish, the agility that kind of comes with that, as well as like just the different sort of
Praticamente sto Yellow Dreams non è proprio solo il titolo del gioco, ma anche il titolo molto ovviamente è preso anche dal nome dell'azienda.
Constraints that come with indie development, I think, are super interesting and can breed a lot of unique games. So that's why I decided to join Yellow Brick Games.
I decided to, be involved in starting Yellow Brick Games is because I've been in the industry
Yellow Bricks.
Almost 24 years now. So at this point, for me, it was an opportunity to get back to being able to do. Instead of always managing, always leading teams, kind of having to direct by proxy, a smaller team, a smaller project, and a chance to sort of get directly involved again felt like what I needed to kind of shake things up and not feel like I was stagnating. The other big draw for me with the smaller team is I see it as a real chance to work on, the best habits of leadership, the ways that you can give direction, be transparent, share with people where things are going, and more importantly, why they are going there, the purpose behind the decisions being made. And I wanted to step out of the context I was comfortable with, where there was sort of this, known history, this is just how we do things, but instead to create a new context in which it was going to be required to explain the why now. And to me, a new studio was the right place to practice those skills, to try and build something that I hope will be very healthy.
There's tons of advantages to starting out in AAA. With such big productions, you gain so much experience so quickly that I think it just naturally becomes very applicable once you do dive into a smaller, independent production. There's just all kinds of skills that I think you've developed, especially in terms of communication, I think is something that's really strong within our team. Departments communicate with one another really well, and I think avoid silos happening between like art and programming and stuff like that. I think we're all very like interconnected, and that communication experience comes from having to communicate with an even larger number of people a lot of the time. So it becomes really easy and, you know, just, yeah, a lot simpler to keep the vision clear across a smaller group of people.
I think as well, when you think about an indie kind of situation coming out of AAA, a larger team, a AAA size team will always have people that have been there before. There's sort of this wealth of knowledge that anyone can learn from. And I think, to your point, it accelerates how quickly you ramp up. And when you're in indie, you might be the only person in your discipline or one of two people in your discipline. So if neither of you have run into problem X is going to be something you have to come up with an all-new solution. So to me, having dealt with these larger productions, you do come away with sort of a, wait a minute, I've been here before kind of mentality that helps you, I think, anticipate problems before they become one.
Bryn is really this super cool, badass treasure hunter, essentially. She takes on the role of Point within her cast of kind of traveling companions. So basically that means she's the one that's in charge of like diving headfirst into danger, jumping into like bottomless pits, checking out what's going on down there, and coming back with like lost artifacts and treasure and just like really valuable objects. So in a lot of ways, I think she's very defined by her physicality. She's like a total adrenaline junkie. I know a lot of games, maybe their protagonist is a bit more of like a blank slate, but I think when it comes to Bryn, she's a more defined character with a prescribed personality that the player is going to get to know and watch develop as they play through the story. When it comes to her psychology, and like, I think, you know, the part that I love the most about her is just that I think she really embodies this idea that it's cool to care, it's cool to be like just unabashedly into whatever it is you're into. She really like doesn't need to mask her like passion with like snark or sarcasm kind of thing. She's just like so excited to be doing the job she's doing, and I feel like that comes through in like so many different scenes in the game. You even see it kind of in the trailer with like the big smile on her face when she's about to like face down this crazy huge construct. So yeah, that's kind of like really just, I think, who she is as a person, and I think she embodies that and brings that out in other characters as well. Yeah, so essentially Weavers are the few people that are still willing to use magic and practice magic and work with it after the Surge, where it becomes sort of like shunned across the known world, essentially. So Weavers travel in caravans. They can't really stay in one place for too long because they tend to make people a little uncomfortable. Everyone in the band kind of has a different function. So obviously the player sort of takes on this role of, you know, the iconic action hero that's going to dive into danger, but she has this really competent, talented team around her that helps her sort of like plan and prepare all of her expeditions, and as well as just like make sense of all the different artifacts and treasure that she's finding and bringing back to her team, essentially.
I have a long history of working at BioWare, and that sort of leaves an imprint on you, but I like the idea of characters. And I think for me, one of my core philosophies in game design is that people care about characters first, and then by extension care about the larger world that those characters care about. Character, care. See,
Molto
the nice part
fantascientifico
is then, if
sicuramente
you can
come
create a
grafica.
cast of people that the player can sort of develop empathy with, get to know over time, it allows you to, especially in developing a new IP and a new world for people to learn, they sort of can start small and get little tidbits from the individual, and then they understand that the individual exists in a larger context. By doing that, you create a scenario where, in an action-adventure kind of context, you get to be Indiana Jones, but you recognize that there's also a John Rhys Davies, and he's going to bring you the camels, right? That you have these people that you have a relationship with, that relationship can evolve and change, and that in doing that, in learning about them, in finding empathy for them, in understanding what they care about, you start to get and grok the larger world.
in Bryn's Weaver band,
Ci
she's
mancavi
relatively
solo
new
col
to the group,
potere del
but the rest
ghiaccio.
of the characters that you sort of encounter at the very start of the game that you find yourself traveling with have been
Tengo
together
fermo
for
sto mostro
quite some
mega
time,
enorme.
varying lengths of time depending on which character, but you've got your enchanter who's kind of in charge of helping you with your mantle and your powers and things like that.
And he's very extra.
He's very fabulous.
He is. He's a great guy.
You've got his wife, who's the band's smith.
She's very grounded.
She's very grounded.
Yeah, she's to the point. Yeah, she's the stable one, and he's the dream. Yeah, that's exactly it.
You've got the
Tra 16 minuti prima dello
is
starting.
also your alchemist, so handling kind of like the consumable potions and things like that that are on your belt. And then you've got the smith's apprentice, who's also fairly new to the band and probably still finding his place.
Visto così mi
within the
verrebbe
group a
già
little
voglia
bit.
di scaricarlo e
And then
provare.
lastly, you've got your mentor, who at the start of the game essentially is the leader and the point of the band.
I was made for this, Aurea. Failure hasn't even crossed my mind.
Io solo
What's
vederlo
that
così.
ego? Overconfidence can come back to smack you in the face.
The enemies in our game kind of do fall into a little bit different factions. They're ultimately all trying to kill you. So they share that as a goal. But when it comes to the creatures that you see that are more like wild, like a colossus or like these hyena type things, those are just kind of wild animals that you're going to find more maybe in the outskirts of the enclave and stuff like that. So they're great to hunt when it comes to like getting more materials and resources for your gear.
We don't have an Akala available as a pet, but what we do have is known for years as the Beast of Burton and eventually named Arva. And Arva does hang out at camp after bringing the caravan and everything in and can be pet. Yes. So that there was an unplanned feature until I believe it was our VFX artist who went, nope, that's happening. And it just went in one day and nobody is there to question her about that suit. Hey, you can absolutely pet Arva in Eternal Strands.
But when it comes to the arcs, which are like these constructs, as we've said, I think what's fun about writing around like these particular constructs is that like on the one hand they're enemies, but they're also sort of like remnants of this lost culture of the Enclave that Bryn and her team want to sort of like pull apart so they can try to figure out how to maybe put them back together, sort of thing. So it's like this lost kind of technology that they're just basically trying to make sense of and trying to use as a means to figure out not only like how did the Enclave have all this wild like enchanting prowess, so to speak, but also like what has happened to them since the Surge, essentially. I think it's a big question that comes up as you're fighting them.
In Eternal Strands, when it merged our magic with the physics gameplay, that was something that in terms of philosophy wanted to achieve for a very long time, is like trying to bring the joyfulness and of physics game and simulation games into a more action-packed game.
Igiene first.
To achieve that, every object in the game have a temperature, and we also split the air inside small blocks of air. So everything inside the game have a temperature, and we have heat that can propagate from one object to the air environment. We have deposit. Cold can also propagate and cool down objects and cool down the air. So in our game, an object can burst into flames simply because the air around it is hot, or something can have its combustion extinguished simply because it's surrounded by cold air. So for the same reason, we have objects that fall into water can heat the water and produce vapor and have smoke effect and stuff like that. So it's all of our environment is simulating temperature, so we can have cold propagation, heat propagation that can start fire and can be extinguished by other effects. So if I can give an example, fire breath of a dragon will actually heat the environment and start fire, and that fire will also heat the environment and have fire propagation.
So if by example you're having like the fire drake that will blast fire into your face, you can cast a wall of ice and reflect that fire to heat back on other
Per
NPCs
sputare
around
fuoco in
you,
quel
which
modo.
is pretty fun. But with these spells also, you can lift stuff with physical force, like there's the TK. That's pretty fun to play around. And a thing we haven't spoke about yet is synergy. So you can mix and match your spells. If you're, by example, creating a bubble of force, you can cast fire into it and create a ball of fire.
And typical games, when you put fire or you play with cold, it's living in a bubble around the player. In our case, the way it's built, it's throughout the whole gameplay area, the whole square kilometer of terrain. So if you're in a situation where you can put enough heat environment, then the whole map can be on fire. And we don't restrain the player with that. There was a lot of thought and a lot of optimization to make that work. But it's the whole level can be on fire, the whole level can be frozen, half the map can be on fire and the rest of the map can be freezing cold too. All of that combines and work, and we're never limiting the player on what kind of impact he can have on the world. The idea behind having all those power was to break the mold of the typical gameplay that have its own sets of rules. So when I was a kid, I was playing a lot of D&D, and a fireball in D&D does a certain amount of D6 of damage. That's a very, very specific rule that is only usable when you are doing a fireball. In our case, we create fire. That fire can be combined with anything else. So instead of having very specific rules for specific power, we do it in a systemic way that will let them be combined with other elements in the game, letting the player use his imagination to be able to create his own effect and playing with rules instead of playing with a very, very specific set of gameplay elements. It's giving tools to the player to create his own chaos. Let them mess with the environment and mess with NPCs, and once that player understands the rules, then it's just playing with them as opposed to just trying to use very fixed rules of gameplay elements. Unreal's physical animation system that we built upon essentially have physicality in each limbs of a creature. So you can think of a typical game when you play an animation, you move the mesh of the NPC.
Speriamo che
Hand move
vinca
around in space
il
and stuff
premio
like that, but
poi
there's
quando
no
sarà poi a
real
dicembre.
mechanism for it to avoid it going through collision or going
Questo
through
gioco.
a wall or something like that. So that's why in multiple games you'll
per
see
arrivare a
a
dicembre,
sword
siamo
go
solo a
through and
maggio.
stuff like that. In our case, hands have weight, knees have weight, the head have weight, and all of that impacts how we play the animation. The whole body of the creature tries to follow the animation as opposed to having the animation dictate how a body moves. And because of that, if I try to punch through a wall, then the hand obviously will not be able to go through the wall and will stop there. The whole body will still try to go through, and because every part of the creature have mass, you'll physically see the creature trying to punch and having his arm being blocked, having a physical impact on how the rest of the body. So it creates a lot more realistic movement. But on something that is 25 meters tall, it conveys a lot of sense of weight. So when you see something like that, it feels real. It feels that it's interacting with the environment. For example, if it walks through a tree, then the tree will block some part of it, and you'll have immediately the feeling that
Che lo stile,
tree, it blocks
lo
some part of
stile
it,
di
and
questo è molto
interacting with the environment. For example, if it walks
è molto da play,
tipico
PlayStation.
For example, if it walks through a tree, then the tree will block some part of
Il menu messo in questo modo con le varie mosse che deve fare il personaggio mentre combatte è molto stile anche sia Genshin Impact, ma anche e soprattutto come fosse Game Pass PlayStation. Ma però ultimamente li hanno reso anche per PC in questo sistema qua.
of it, and you'll have immediately the feeling that, okay, it hit that tree, it broke through the tree, but it imparted some form of physical force and physical impact and realism to seeing that creature move around in the environment.
What the physical animation allows you, for example, in terms of gameplay, is you can have a giant like snapping trees in his wake. He can take the trees with his hand, throwing at you. He can throw it back using the spells.
You can hinder the creature's movement by using your ice power and freeze his arm in space. So, for example, if he's trying to stump you, you your ice power and
Il potere del ghiaccio è congelare il suo braccio nello spazio. Ah, quindi c'è anche il potere non solo a terra, ma anche così in aria può resistere a congelare il potere del ghiaccio.
his arm in space. So, for example, if he's trying to
Questo
stump you, you
personaggio.
can cast ice on its leg and block its knee from bending
Le gambe
because it's now blocked. So,
e
since
bloccarlo
we're using physical
definitivamente.
animation to open
Beh, diciamoci che è un ottimo modo per riuscire a sconfiggere un pochino il nemico facendo in questo modo. Bloccarlo in questa maniera. Però devi essere comunque veloce per combattere tutto il resto, non è... Cioè, basta vedere qui quanto è lunga la barra rossa, quanta energia può avere.
You're not just playing in mission. I saw at some
Dal rumore
point
sembrava un
having
blocco di
fire
metallo
drill
quello che ha sulla
being his
gamba.
mouth encapsulated in ice, and when he tried to breathe fire, because there was ice in the way, and our fire power follow through collision, so the fire went sideways and killed an NPCs on the side. So it's a completely random thing that it would be very difficult to do, but since our powers are completely systemic, it's something that just happened.
Other example where all the physics simulation brought like emergent situation. There was like this tunnel of force field that a flying creature throw its own fireball in it and then went back towards him as I was jumping in it. So I got catapulted with the fireball and back onto the flying creature, and I latched into it and I started to slay it with the sword. That was amazing. In terms of how the weapon mixed with the magical powers, you have like an ice sword that generates spikes of ice on the ground,
Like
and then you can
quasi.
use your telekinesis power to grab them and throw in at foes. You have also the telekinesis bow. It creates like force field in which you can put heat or cold inside it. You can use that same telekinesis bow to create a successive series of bubbles that will detonate one after the other and like all the way up into an epic. You can use the same bubble to use that as a jump pad for you to latch into a very tall epic.
You can use a firebow to create steam and block NPC's vision, so you can create cover for yourself. Because it's a bow, you can fire that way and hide through the steam.
You can breathe fire into
5
a
minuti
tree log
ora per la
and then use
presentazione.
your two-hander sword that is infused with telekinesis to create your own fireball, basically.
Vediamo un po' di combattere.
In Eternal Strands, a major part of your adventure will be doing battle with the 9 massive bosses that wander freely throughout parts of the world. In my time exploring the magical land of the Enclave, I encountered a handful of these formidable monstrosities, which ranged from a robotic bipedal summoner who used his magical staff to cover the world in fire, to a flying dragon who oppressively hunted me from the skies above. Continuing our month-long coverage of Eternal Strands, who oppressively hunted me from the skies above.
Questo qui dovrebbe essere il più difficile da combattere, vedere anche solo come sputa questa fiamma.
Continuing our month-long coverage of Eternal Strands as part of IGN First, today we'll be taking a look at one such oversized baddie, the Ark of the Forge, a hammer-wielding automaton with a deep love of smelting puny weavers into piles of ash.
So in Eternal Strands, we have this massive 25-meter high creatures that we call epics. They roam around the world, and then it's for the players to engage with them or not, but they are at the source of every power, magical power you're gonna get in the game.
So today we're unveiling the Ark of the Forge, a huge towering construct of about 23 to 25
25,
meters.
23, 25
It was
metri.
built by the Enclave to be able to craft very huge structures easily.
Questo coso è
He is a
alto
blacksmith
25
at heart.
metri.
That's why he has a giant
Però.
flaming hammer. It's to be able to help that society to evolve the way it did in the past.
You can find it like the 2/3 mark in the game, deep inside the forge of, like in the underground of the Enclave Society.
You know, one of his trademark visual thing you will notice, the first is, of course, the giant flaming hammer. So, spoiler alert, he does use this giant hammer to create fire in the environment. He can hit the ground with it, it makes like a lot of flames everywhere, makes the environment super hot. So then you need to avoid not only like, you know, the giant hammer, which is enough trouble on its own, but also what that creates in the environment, which, you know, when you fight with him, after like, you know, 2-3 minutes, you can get into a situation where you look at the battlefield and you don't know where to go because there's so much fire everywhere. Yeah. Like, it's not one and done. The fire stays in the environment and it does affect the battlefield a lot.
He also has like an anger management problem because he can get into, like, if you start doing a lot of damage to him, he's gonna get angry, like flame up its entire body and run directly at you to smash your face.
One other way he can react to you is if you climb on him, you know, because he's quite dangerous when you're on the ground, so you're like, oh, I'm gonna climb on him, you know, that sounds reasonable. But then he can shake.
Pronto? Pubblicità completamente inutile, andiamo pure avanti.
Shake you off, but most importantly, he can just grab you and just like crush you in his hands.
And then throw you back in the fire.
And just like, yep, in the fire you go.
The location at which you fight the Ark of the Forge is also important because they're going to be roaming around all the maps that we have in the game. So some maps are going to be way more difficult for you to defeat. So inside a forest, you can imagine that everything's going to become like a blaze. So if you get to caves, then that might be a little bit easier. The weather also in Enclave is kind of all chaotic, so sometimes you have big shift of weather. So if you can manage to fight or encounter the Ark of the Forge when there's a big flash freeze with full of snow, you might have a better chance to defeat it.
So as Fred mentioned, it's really good for you as a player to engage with the Ark of the Forge during a flash freeze because everything is cold, so it lessens its power. However, we also have droughts in the game, which has the opposite effect where everything becomes hotter. So the air in the level will actually get to a higher temperature easier, which that is not to your advantage. So maybe if you're not geared for the fight and you're in a drought and you see a fire creature in the level, maybe you should reconsider. So the Ark of the Forge, as you can guess, is a fire-based creature. So once you defeat him, you will be able to get a firepower thread, which you will be able to use in your own toolkit. And we try to keep like a link between what the player gets and what the epic uses, so you'll be able to understand what you just gained from it.
For more on Yellow Brick Games' upcoming boss-slaying adventure Eternal Strands, check out the action-packed reveal trailer. And stay tuned for more exclusive reveals all month long as part of our ongoing IGN First coverage. And for everything else, stick with IGN.
Instant Storm, Gen First.
ID at Xbox is finally here. IGN and Xbox teamed up to bring you an exclusive look at some of the most exciting upcoming indie games in a showcase jam-packed with new trailers, never-before-seen gameplay, and more. Followed by a special episode of IGN's weekly Xbox show, Podcast Unlocked.
What's happening, friends? Welcome to Podcast Unlocked.
Cosa
With
succede,
deeper dives
amici?
on some of the coolest games. And you won't have to miss a
Noi
second
dovremo
of it because the
prendere
2024 ID at
nel
Xbox
2024
showcase kicks
proprio in
off
questo
right
istante.
this second.
Vediamo. Cosa ci aspetta? Partiamo il gioco subito con un giochi Xbox. Bello. Forse un tantino veloce, però. Astorn. Blade of the Mortal 30 maggio. Quindi dovrebbe mancare più poco, perché se è 30 maggio. Fine maggio.
Hello and welcome to the 2024
Ciao,
IGN Xbox
benvenuti allo
Showcase live on IGN. We just kicked things off with a brand new look at Astro Blade
appena
of
un
the
nuovo
Monolith.
sguardo, fantastici giochi su cui dare un'occhiata oggi. Mostreremo un sacco di prossimi in futuro. Reveleremo alcuni giochi mai visti prima, ma inoltre daremo uno sguardo più vicino ad alcune. Meglio facciamo prima leggercelo per conto nostro, c'è più velocemente.
Here's 33 Immortals.
Vediamo un po'. Che cosa ci aspetta?
"33 Immortals is a 33-player co-op action roguelike game, where you pick up your controller and go on epic raids in increasingly difficult regions. Your goal is to fight and survive together with as many players as possible in each region. There are plenty of ways to cooperate. Stick together, heal each other.
No, ma che senso, cioè, già vedere così una grafica è bellissima, dovrebbe essere bellissimo come gioco.
Fight together. Revive one another. Only together will you eventually unlock the Ascension battle. Then, with your allies, ascend to the region's final arena and challenge that region's massive boss. The first rule to success: bring with you as many players as possible. Lucifer is Inferno's big boss, and he is brutal. Cooperation, fighting together, is the key to defeating Lucifer. If there are 33 of you, that will give you the best chance at victory. But don't despair if there are fewer. Fortune favors the bold. Second, avoid his deadly attacks. Frozen Hate, Last Betrayal, and Eternal Sorrow will deal unavoidable, unblockable damage if you're caught in the area of effect. Third, know your weapons. Take advantage of each player's unique skills and weapons to tackle Lucifer's formidable challenges, whether they're his own attacks or those done by his minions. Finally, and perhaps most importantly, stick together and cooperate. Use your co-op powers wisely. Your group's collective strength is essential to defeating our powerful boss and unlocking access to the next region, which will not only feature tougher enemies, but also tougher bosses. More to come on those new regions and bosses real soon.
Ah, una beta. Va bene. Un altro gioco Xbox, Microsoft.
That was 33 Immortals, an action roguelite that lets you squad up with 32 friends.
Finally, a co-op game for popular people like me that have exactly 32 friends.
It's weird that you counted, but I'm happy for you, I guess.
It sounds like I'm about to have 31 friends, Kim.
Hey guys, come on, we're all pals here, and you know where else you'll find some pals?
Power World! Yes!
Power?
Well, yeah, so much for the surprise. Anyway, here's what's next for Pal World.
Questo qua ritorniamo a quello che abbiamo visto circa un'ora fa. Oppure no? Circa, gli animali. Classico di Palworld. Ah no, forse sono gli aggiornamenti del gioco. Quello che avevamo visto prima era solo quello che avevamo visto prima, cioè all'inizio con Palworld, era tutto quello che era fino ad adesso. Adesso stiamo per vedere naturalmente gli aggiornamenti di Palworld. Quello che può stare a poi. Ehi, che bella linguaggio questo. Palworld. Benvenuto. ...2024 estate. Vabbè, quello che... Musica silenziosa. Folle, la musica silenziosa. Oh man, originale. Anche per PC e Game Pass. Insomma, molto stile antico Windows. Benvenuto, Crema. Perché solo di scrivere in italiano? Mamma mia! No, io sono italiano. Estate 2024.
Hello, little bird. Goodbye, Velvet Cove. I'll soon be flying away.
Benvenuto. Figo.
Rude.
Allora prova a usare Google Traduttore se non riesci con l'italiano.
This is Swan Holloway. And if you find this video, it's because I'm dead.
Cioè, vista così, questa persona sembra molto realistica comunque. Cioè, vedere qua come la pelle, tutti i vari... Molto reale, sembra quasi di avercela di fronte.
I'm dead.
Ah, è stato creato con Unreal Engine. Guarda quel robottino. Oh. Va bene. Ah, questa cosa sembra carino. Sembra promettente come gioco.
We just got a tease of what's coming to Pal World, and we got brand new looks at Commando's Origins, Centum Lost Record, Bloom and Rage, and Keylocker right here on ID at Xbox, live on IGN.
We're only just getting started here, and we have a ton more indie game trailers and gameplay to check out. But be sure to stick around after for a live episode of IGN's weekly Xbox show, Podcast Unlocked.
But right now, we need to take a quick break. Stick around. ID at Xbox continues after this.
ID at Xbox is presented by Xfinity. Stay ahead of the game with Xfinity's blazing fast speeds and smooth, low-lag connection.
The Cinefix Top 100. A list so secretive even we don't know what movies are on it or where they rank.
What do you mean you don't know?
Each episode
Mamma
will reveal
mia.
one of the movies
Cos'era questo?
where they rank.
What do you mean you don't know?
Questo con la bambola fa sembrare un po' un filmato che avevo visto horror. Un po' gli assomiglia, vero?
Each episode will reveal one of the movies.
Did I rush it? Felt like I rushed. That was good. I liked it.
Talk about why it belongs and finally find out
Se
where
non
it
mi,
ranks.
forse non mi ricordo più il titolo, però mi fa ricordare quel filmato che ho stravisto.
Are any of the movies we've shown here even on the list? I have no idea, and it drives me crazy. Join us as we find out on the Cinefix Top 100, Mondays, starting July 3rd.
Why so serious?
IGN Playlist is the best way to track your game collection. Now you can even import your entire Steam
Vabbè,
library
la
playlist,
pubblicità
making it
potevano
easier than
anche
ever to review games,
evitarsela,
show off your
sta
collection to the world,
pubblicità,
and
dai.
finally chip away
Che
at
roba
that
è?
massive backlog you keep meaning to get to. IGN Playlist, check it out.
Behind every game, movie, and TV show you love is a wild, crazy, and sometimes unbelievable story.
No one is just black and white.
From revealing the secrets behind your favorite franchises to solving a legendary video game mystery,
I'm coming for you.
IGN Inside Stories gives you a peek behind the curtain.
If people come to the game now and see what's going on there, I think they'll be surprised.
Join us as we dive
Perché
into
dovrei
hyper-dedicated
bannarlo?
fanbases, worldwide phenomenons, and the most incredible untold tales in games and entertainment.
I said, wait a minute, that doesn't sound so good.
It was definitely not what I expected in the best way.
Inside Stories, available now only on IGN.
And I was like, holy shit, we're gonna do this.
Want the ultimate IGN experience? Check out IGN Plus. Members get exclusive
io-
deals and giveaways. Ad-free browsing.
Non banno solo perché scrive frasi a caso. Io banno se insulta o se bestemmia. Ma non banno a caso
30 days
io.
of IGN Plus for just $1. Head to plus.ign.com.
Per me siete liberi di scrivere tutto quello che volete.
Hey, do you like arcade kart racers but wish there were more karts on the track? Like, I don't know, say 60 of them? Well, coming up, there's a game just for you.
Do you like Jackbox party games but wish that they made one that was only for adults and no kids allowed?
Guardate che state poi dietro alle mie regole, poi
Do
per il
you
resto
like
vedete che non
dancing, but
capita
you're
nulla.
also a violent person? Well, coming up, there's a game just for you.
And do you like exciting world premieres that you've never seen before until now? Well, coming up, yes, there's a game just for you.
If you answered yes to any or all of those questions, coming up, there's a bunch of games
Tanto io leggo
just
tutto,
for
quindi.
you.
Preoccupare che ve l'avrebbe già segnato. Che i filtri piuttosto alti da quella parte lì. Vai adesso. Dissociati. Però lo stai facendo un po' apposta adesso dicendo così, eh? Trollo. No, a quanto pare no. Ah, ok, ok.
The whole thing covered from the trash heaps of Og to places undiscovered. Meet Gravity and Copybot, let Arwen be your guide. Yara, Scoop, and Billy Scoop so please won't you subscribe?
Che musichetta! Piace ragazzi? Questa musichetta?
Scan your logs for the best quotes. Times and galaxy. Hope you're good at taking notes.
Piace questa musichetta?
Get your assignment and let's go.
No, casomai sei te che stai rischiando, non lui. E che ti manda a scrivere parolacce. Il sadro. Sei te che stai esagerando adesso. In inglese non capisco purtroppo. Se mi scrivi in inglese non so cosa mi dici.
You just saw trailers for Stampede, Racing Royale, the Jackbox Naughty Pack, Time and Galaxy, and Sulphur. 4 unique indie flavors that taste great together.
Unless you try and play all 4 of those games at the same time, which is not the recommended way to enjoy them.
Yeah, we're always looking out for you here at the 2024 ID at Xbox Showcase. It's the least we can do. And now, more indie games.
Hi, this is
Bello.
Peter, the head of production at Massive Damage, and I'm going to show you a little bit of our upcoming game, Farah, The Sundered Tribes. If you haven't seen Farah before, it's a combination of co-op monster hunting, open world survival craft, and a tribal colony sim with a heavy focus on aerial mechanics. This is my village here, this is where I manage
Io non
my
posso
tribe,
obbligare
and where they craft
nessuno,
all the
siete voi a
equipment and potions
scegliere.
and
Se
weapons
venite da me mi
into,
fate
all the stuff
contento.
that we need to survive in Farah.
Se
We're
voi
out of harm's way
scegliete
here. We live
di...
on a magical floating island. It's surrounded
Voi
by
devo
friendly
voler
sky
andare via,
whales, but
non so
when I
che
go to the
dirvi.
underland below,
Io non
that's when
obbligo
things get a
nessuno, se
little
venite
bit
mi fate un
more
piacere.
interesting. The world of Farah is designed to be kind of a jungle gym
Non
for
ho
aerial
nessuno
mechanics.
dei
You can
due.
chain together moves of
Non
gliding
ho
and tethering to
Xbox
achieve
o
really fast
PlayStation.
speeds, and it's a
Ho
lot of
PC
fun to
solo.
see your friends zipping around you, soaring in the air like your fighter jets. But right now we're on a mission to track down a Groktuks egg, which we've located here. This is going to involve us fighting a large Groktuk, so you can see a little bit of how combat works. Our combat design also retains that aerial focus, so in addition to physical attacks, our monsters also attack you with elemental bullet hell style barrages, which sort of test your mastery of Farah's aerial mechanics. In addition, you can also cling to the monsters and attack their different body parts, and even saw off craftable trophies mid-combat. But as I mentioned, today I am on a hunt for a Groktuk's egg, so while my friends have him distracted, I'm gonna go find it. When the time is right, I'll be able to hatch the egg, and I'll gain a new addition to my beast menagerie, who I can then bring into the Underland.
Perché
to
dovresti
help me out
essere
with all sorts of
triste?
things. So that's a little snippet of what makes up our game. If you like what you see and you want to find out more, give us a wish list and follow us at playfera.com.
Terra. Carino. Perché dovresti essere triste? Ah, capito. Quello è il mobile game. Però questi non sono giochi da mobile. Per il proprio telefono.
手を上げて目で合図息を合わせて All you need is help All をこいで You need とない
Io parlo solo italiano. Mi piace per te. Parlo solo italiano in questo canale.
お手伝いよろしくね手を上げて目で合図
Sì, lo so, sono Xbox di fatti questi giochi. Non sono per telefono.
わからないことだらけ手を上げて目で合図息を合わせて
Non so se si può fare in coop. Non hanno detto niente. Sul file, vabbè, 2024.
We still have a ton more surprises up ahead right here on ID at Xbox
Magari adesso lo
and
dicono.
IGN. Can we tease one of them?
Like, make fun of them in rude or mean ways? Like, spread a vicious rumor about them on the playground? I don't know why you'd want to do that to any of the games here today. None of them have done anything to deserve that. After all, isn't teasing just a less mean version of bullying?
I mean, tease one of the games we're going to show later, as in the show, reveal a part of a surprise like a clue. You know what? Forget it.
Quello
It's
che
Vampire
dicono in poche
Survivors.
parole
We're
è solo
gonna show
che
you new stuff
per il
coming
momento
to the
parlano
hit
solo
game
di sorprese che
Vampire
verranno poi
Survivors.
dopo.
Does that work for you?
Oh, yeah,
Non
sorry
hanno
about that.
parlato se si può giocare in
I'm glad you
coop
two
o
worked that out.
altro.
Anyways, don't forget to stick around after the showcase for a very special ID at Xbox post-show edition of Podcast Unlocked, IGN's weekly Xbox show. But first, here's a whole bunch of upcoming indie games coming to Xbox, including one you can play today.
Però
Take
questo
a look.
così è abbastanza carino, sì.
Can you truly conquer the darkness? If it returns, night after night, the formidable Wardens of the North, hailed vanquishers of the Dark Wings, feared not. Tirelessly they trained generation after generation, ready for that fateful day, when the shadows would reclaim their bloody reign. Alas, we never have as long as we dare hope.
Ma se levo i sottotitoli io non capisco per più niente.
Son of Eivor, prepare to embark on an epic quest across the vast realms of the northern wastes to purge the lands of the darkness once and for all. But you won't defeat Count Kazak and his dreaded Sky Scorchers alone. Unite the disparate clans of the realm, rebuild Winter's Edge to an all-new glory, and forge the very weapons of legend. Though remember, the stronger the light, the darker the shadow.
Dove entri? Nel gioco? Ma questo non è un gioco, questa è solo una presentazione di un gioco.
Tales of Iron 2, Whiskers of Winter. Wishlist now.
Questa è solo la presentazione.
So you want to hear about Hangry?
Ah, vuoi entrare dentro nel gioco?
Well, he's a hunter, a loner, Probably out there in the
Oh,
marshes
puoi anche
right
vederlo
now
con
trying to
me,
work
no?
off his debt to Chef Gutra. His appetite gets him in
Possiamo vedercelo assieme.
places you don't want to be. And those toes might be biting off more than they could chew. Henry's gotta hunt vicious beasts on dangerous worlds.
Madonna, se
Ravens
bello!
under control, and get the cargo back here to
Fighissimo!
Gutra's Diner, a new spot in our shiny Zeta City. When you are in here, keep a sharp eye on the goons hanging around. They got ways of dealing with troublemakers. So, watch what you eat, if you know what I mean.
Gameplay Impale. Xbox. Bellissimi vedere questa cosa. In collaborazione con... non ho capito. Michael. Kazan Legend. Carino. Non sto capendo niente, ma di quello che c'è scritto. Ah, ma se dovesse andare qua sotto, se no, aspetta un secondo. Un attimo, fermo un attimo qua. Se andare qua sotto ci sono i miei social. Qui in automatico tutto si collega tramite quello che faccio io. Vai lì sotto, quello che ho fatto adesso vedere. Cosa? È tutto collegato lì sui miei social, Instagram, eccetera. Anche se non è aggiornatissimo, è più aggiornato YouTube. Poi ogni tanto qualcosa faccio. Così potete seguirmi anche sui social, Instagram, YouTube, eccetera. No, pensavo che volevi vedere per conto tuo questo. Naturalmente c'è tutto quello che volete fare, cioè seguirmi sui miei social, sostenermi, tutto quello che volete, anche economicamente, se volete donare potete anche donare, vi ho messo il link nelle pagine sotto. bellissimi. Ce ne sono un sacco di giochi che veramente...
That was a look at the upcoming indie games Tales of Iron 2,
professionisti
Angry,
giochi
Promise Mascot
indie.
Agency,
Ah,
and a
bene,
ton of
andiamo
upcoming
a,
releases from
andiamo a
Game
vedere
Games,
anche
which will
qualche
all be in
gioco
Game Pass
indie
day
adesso.
one.
The Rewinder is available on Xbox Game Pass as of, well, today, so keep an eye out for it. And coming up, a closer look at something Xbox is partnering with called the Ayayay Initiative.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's pronounced Triple I. You know, like AAA, but with I for indie.
Are you sure? That doesn't really like roll off the tongue like Ayayay.
Well, here's an informative video to hopefully set the record straight.
Con questo buio che c'è in casa sembra di essere molto più tardi delle 4:15.
That was a look at some of the featured games from the Triple I Initiative, all of them coming soon to Xbox.
Next up, we're checking out an action RPG that has players embarking on a nice, relaxing vacation in the Austrian Alps.
My
Sta
lovely
piovendo da
vacations
Dio
don't
fuori
usually involve
proprio.
dungeons, personally, but who am I to judge? Let's do some sightseeing in Dungeons of Hinterberg.
No, 16, vabbè, 16:36 per esattezza adesso. Sono io che ho sbagliato. Non è che ho sbagliato, ho visto male l'ora. Fa lo stesso, dai. Tanto rimango in live perlomeno fino alle 6:30 circa. Il tempo che finisce questo e poi... Vabbè. E manca ancora, sì, manca ancora 2 ore. Bello anche questo.
You can book your trip to tour the Dungeons of Hinterberg today. It's now available for pre-order.
Up next, most survival games require players to collect
Allora
materials
che
and
tempo sta
harvest resources
facendo lì?
so they can craft stuff
Da
to
me
defend
sta piovendo a
themselves. This next
dirotto.
one, not so much. In fact, you don't even have to push any buttons.
Here's what's coming next to the horrifyingly addictive indie smash hit Vampire Survivors. Check it out.
Mi sono girato adesso, ho visto di quella pioggia.
Our new quadruple A update is our most ambitious yet. Hyper-realistic holiday-themed characters.
Immersive door opening action. World premiere train mechanics. Genre defining kart racing. Fully rendered running animations. Laboratory update out now.
No, sono molto più giovane. Sono del 97. Ah no, ma quello lì è solo un nickname, è giusto per darne uno. Piaceva così. In realtà sono del 97, sì, ho 26 anni. A settembre poi ne faccio 27. 30 settembre per l'esattezza.
And that's a wrap on this year's ID at Xbox Showcase, but we're not finished just yet. Although the showcase part of the ID at Xbox Showcase is coming to a close, that doesn't mean we don't have more to showcase you. That sounded weird. Either way, we showed you a bunch of awesome games today, but now it's time to actually play them.
Up next, we're taking a deeper dive into some of the awesome games for today's ID at Xbox. Aster, Blade of the Monolith, and Hangry,
Aster,
the ARPG
Hungry.
that mixes food and violence.
Hungry?
See, trailers are great, but we can't wait to show you how those games actually play. And after those game demos, be sure to stick around for our official Podcast Unlocked post-show, breaking down all the biggest announcements, reveals, and trailers we showed you on ID at Xbox today.
Oh, and if you want to get your hands on some awesome upcoming games, catch even more trailers, hang out with the IGN crew in person, and check out new reveals from some of the biggest names in games and entertainment, IGN Live is the place to be.
IGN Live is happening this June 7th through 9th at the
poi non
Magic
si
Box
dice
in
che
Los
hanno
Angeles, and we
sardo.
want to see you there. Head on down to ign.com/live for more info and to get your tickets before they're gone.
I'll be there. Thanks for watching this year's ID at Xbox Showcase. Now keep watching for more Hangry, Aster, Blade of the Monolith, and of course, our Podcast Unlocked post-show. Stick around.
ID at Xbox is presented by Xfinity. Stay ahead of the game with Xfinity's blazing fast speeds and smooth, low-lag connection.
Presenta Xfinity. Vediamo loro sto
Grand Theft Auto
Xfinity.
6. It's been
Tra
a
un
long
B,
and
tra
winding
RP.
road leading to the biggest video game of all time, but it's still
Come
so
stile?
far away.
L25. Ah, farà un
But don't
annetto.
worry, IGN has just the thing to pass the time until Rockstar turns us loose in Leonida. GTFM, a brand new original show all about GTA. Tune in for hard-hitting Grand Theft Auto 6 analysis.
Who is Jason anyways?
The internet's biggest and most out-there fan theories.
I would make the argument that based on the universe, it's actually not Lucia.
Interviews with the most infamous stars of past Grand Theft Auto games.
Ma
Call me Franklin, all y'all want.
possiamo dire
And so much more.
We are back.
For everything
giochi
GTA,
di belli ne ho
it's
fatti
GTM.
tanti, però
Only on IGN.
Have you ever been
Genshin
stuck on the same quest for
Impact
just way
sicuramente è
too long?
stato
IGN strategy guides
uno
and
dei pochi
interactive
belli
maps are here to
che sto
help.
continuando
IGN
ancora a
guides are
portare.
trusted by millions, easy to use, and of course free. You can even track your progress with handy checklists if you go for 100%.
C'è anche il
just like we
temporale.
do. IGN has
Sento
the
anche il
very
rumore
best
del
and most
temporale
complete
dalle
and accurate
cuffie.
guides for The Legend of Zelda: Tears of the Kingdom, Baldur's Gate 3, Cyberpunk 2077, Hogwarts Legacy, and so much more. Every guide is tested and verified for you by experts.
Questa però è pubblicità a casa mia, no? Non me lo trasportando.
This summer, IGN is hosting a huge in-person event, and we want you there with us. IGN Live is bringing the VIP experience to you, the fans. We've got trailer reveals with brand new gameplay from the
Scrivi anche, perché adesso per esempio Puro Lili so che in live.
Favorite IGN shows, contests, prizes, cosplay, interactive activations, photo and video opportunities. Most importantly, there will be tons and tons of video games. Now join our crew for IGN Live from June 7th to 9th at Magic Box in downtown LA. Tickets available now.
Welcome back to ID at Xbox Live on IGN. I'm Damon Hadfield, and right now my good friend Kim and I are taking a look at Aster, Blade of the Monolith. So Kim, what's the deal with Aster, Blade of the Monolith? What kind of game
No,
is this?
adesso no,
This
sta facendo...
is an action slasher. It reminds me
Ne
a
da un po'
lot
tra
of The
l'altro che
Legend of
non
Zelda.
fa Genshin Impact.
In more than just aesthetics.
Perché la seguo anch'io Puro Lili.
So,
We
È
are
da un po'
Aster.
che non porta
yes,
più
this
quel
is Aster.
gioco.
This is what I want to... Oh, I have the blaster. Okay. I got the Aster blaster.
You said hack and slash. You didn't say blast and slash.
I mean, I prefer blasting, but it's pretty finite.
So what's the deal? You're Aster, it's a hack and slash game. Do you know what the sort of conflict is, what the objective is?
Yes. So this is a post-human society. And I'm kind of discovering
il suo lavoro
how to get hit by a
principale.
shovel. But also, the character is kind of discovering through ruins
Fa parte anche del suo lavoro
different
principale
relics.
fare live ogni giorno a
Everything
5
about
ore.
human society and what led to their creation. So from what I understand, the characters are all made of like inorganic materials, like stone and wood, and the humans
Invece che
created
io
them,
a
but the
breve
humans
farò
are all
poi un
gone now.
concorso.
So they're just trying
Speriamo in
to
bene che
figure out
parta.
what their deal is, like we all are, right?
That's a very human story. And I do want to acknowledge that I'm asking you to talk and explain the game to me while you play it in combat, and which is
And I feel not confident.
this is a big boy.
Yeah, he's pretty big. Oh no, oh no,
Vabbè,
oh
chissà di
no.
non avere così.
Okay, first I'm gonna heal.
It's just not fair.
Then I'm gonna run over here and get this person with projectiles. Because I don't like that.
Came out first.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. Okay, I want those because they help me buy things. And it's all about capitalism.
Yeah, take this guy out too, and then focus on the big guy.
Whoa.
Okay, here we go.
Okay, okay, okay.
È
No!
proprio per imparare a sviluppare i videogiochi quello che sto facendo
Usually
io.
getting behind these
Shield.
works.
Huh? Okay. Alright, you come over here.
Is there a lock-on system?
No. That's,
Can make things difficult.
if there is, it's not in
Va
this demo.
benissimo, ti ringrazio di essere passato a sto punto.
Shield.
Oh, you got a parry system in there?
Yeah.
Okay.
Every now
When
and then I
no
get
buy
it.
why?
I don't always get it. But when I do,
Sai che sono qua.
didn't get it then. He dead. I did
Oppure
it. I
se
need some more
proprio
health. I'm
non
gonna go
riesci puoi sempre
this crystal.
comunque rivedere le
The
live
green crystals
perse
are for
su
health.
YouTube.
Yes, the red
Io le
crystals
ricarico,
are
poi questa la
for currency
ricaricherò su YouTube.
that I can use to buy upgrades for myself. So I could improve my shield. What was that?
I think you tripped on a rock or
You could trip on a rock. That's new. Oh wait, I'm actually full in health. I didn't need to do that. But you know, sometimes you gotta hit things just to do it.
Always break every
Yeah.
box you come across.
They have currency.
Let's see how much like classic Zelda this is. Is there a jump button?
Yeah.
Oh,
So
okay.
it's a little different.
Yeah, a little different then. But that's useful. So you've got your sword. Is there a combo system?
Yes, there is. I'm not that great at it. I think I've gotten maybe 15, 16 at the most. But from what I hear, you can do 30. Up to 30. I think up to is a good clarifier.
The chamber, majestic as it was, did little to reveal the structure's true purpose.
So the narrator
It
will
did
sort
seem
of
to be a hub
explain
of
everything
some
that's happening as you go along.
Yeah, she's
leading
kind of
to different
unwinding the story.
sections. Further investigation would be required.
Further investigation will be happening.
Combo-based melee combat parries. Is there a dodge?
Yes, this is dodge.
Got it.
And jump. And blaster. Light attack. Heavy attack. Shield. And there you go.
So I know you've spent some time with the game already. What's the sort of how much time do you spend in combat versus exploration, or is there also puzzle solving?
A little bit of a puzzle solving. I mean, I think I only got access to a limited part, but what I'm trying to do is, actually I forgot I could do this. You can send out an orb to tell you which way to go.
Very useful.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Okay, what do we have here? We got some health crystals, which I don't need.
Well, that's us. They're talking about us.
Yeah, we're dinosaurs.
Maybe they can turn us into fuel.
Oh, well, circle of life. You know, like how humans created giant metal spiders?
Yep, exactly. Okay, do you think you can go for a 15-hit combo here?
Oh, I don't know.
I think you should try.
Okay, first I'm going to hit with some blasts.
Combo going up. Here we go. Oh.
Did I miss it?
No, you're there. 2 more. You got it. Keep going.
You know, the blasts really go a long way in comboing up.
Oh, you're going to make 30.
Am I? Am I? Is it happening?
29.
Oh, he died before I did. 29 is pretty good, though.
There. You're just too good.
Yeah.
You're
they're just...
effective.
It's my story of my life. No. Are there any health crystals nearby? No, the room behind me closed, so I can't go back and get it. Have to push forward.
We're exploring the biology wing of the Temple of Soma.
Yes. I'm not sure what Soma means in this context.
In this demo, are there any boss fights?
Yes, there's one at the end, which I actually really enjoyed because you could parry a lot with that boss, and it wasn't that hard for me, so I think it won't be that hard for anyone. All right, got some money, some rare currency. Got some fossilized giant scorpions. I mean, humanity went through a lot that I guess we haven't experienced yet.
So post-human, but also is this Earth? On Earth?
I actually don't know, and that's a good question. I assumed yes, but maybe that's just my Earth-centric opinion.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, there's 2. Soon there won't be. No, 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 why are there so many? No, this way. So there's no auto lock, as you can tell.
Oh, they just keep spawning.
You know, in some levels, there's like a giant crystal that spawns them, but I'm not seeing one here. So I don't think I can stop the spawning. If you see a giant dark crystal, you gotta go hit that crystal.
Stop the spawn is a pretty good call to action. Like I could see in the advertisements, Astor, Blade of the Monolith, stop the spawn, spring 2024.
You know, it's that or it's a
There you go.
insecticide commercial.
What's the yellow meter underneath your health?
That is my stamina, I believe. So if I start blasting, it'll go down. Or if I use my shield and my shield gets hit, it'll go down.
And then the 3-segmented blue meter, what's that below that?
That is something we haven't learned yet at this part in the demo, but it does turn on this kind of second sight.
It's Batman mode.
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah, no.
But it can reveal passageways that you can't really see yet.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll get to the part where that actually comes into play. I did it before and I didn't know what it was, and I was like, surely this blue light is hurting my enemies and helping me, but it's not. It's for sight for certain areas that are inaccessible otherwise.
Got it. Maybe it could reveal a crack in the wall that could be bombed.
Yes.
Bello.
Okay, they're gonna make me
adesso
work for these
che stiamo vedendo
red
alcuni
crystals.
approfondimenti di giochi che abbiamo visto così prima alla veloce. Mi fa vedere ancora di più come...
Here you go. What are the other abilities mapped to your D-pad?
One of them is healing, which is pretty important.
Yep.
The top one is healing.
Got it.
Ma anche
right
solo ad
is
esempio questi
the magic
sferi,
site.
Got it.
The
sferi
bottom
rossi con...
is my little wayfinder orb.
Oh, cool.
And the one on the right
Bello.
is not usable at this point in time.
Anche,
Okay.
la
Let's
guida
follow
di
my orb
come,
trail, which is very helpful as someone who always needs to
di come
consult
si
a map.
presenta il
Should be a
videogioco.
requirement in video games, really.
Yeah.
They
Fatto
fly
molto
now.
bene.
They fly now.
Astor.
They fly now!
Molto probabilmente sono,
Here, I guess I can fly now too.
molto probabilmente sono quei giochi che ho presi anche dai film, facilmente.
Oh,
I lost my combo. Combo breaker.
I want to see a 30-hit combo.
Again?
Well, you'll.
Well, that's true. That's true.
We haven't seen it yet, but I know that you can do it. Great dodging.
They've got me in a corner. That's not good.
But you have the blade of the monolith.
I think I lost my combo. Look, it's fun, but it's also challenging.
What?
Again? Is there like a crystal I'm not seeing that's spawning these things?
I mean, if it's like the other room, you just gotta get enough.
Gotta keep going.
Yeah.
Life lessons.
Let him get behind you. Don't let
No,
him
I know. Ah!
ambush you in.
No.
You could heal. You might want to do that.
Sure. I was too distracted, and I'm just as bad as I was before healing.
They're still coming.
Still?
Okay, I think these might be the last two.
You. I've had enough of you.
He's one more. There you go.
Okay. Oh no.
This guy.
I can kill him. He doesn't have a friend to help him. All right, I did it.
Well, that about wraps it up for us, and for everything else, ID at Xbox, keep it locked here at IGN.
It's not often that a puzzle game quite like Humanity
Ma
comes
anche la
along, with its
presentazione
minimal but expressive art
è
direction,
venuta
adorable
molto
Ghost of Shiba
bene,
Inu main character, and an
devo
endless
dire.
library of user-generated content. It's no surprise why Humanity was one of IGN's highest reviewed games of 2023. Now that it's headed to Xbox and Game Pass, there's even more of a reason to check out The Puzzler, where you lead the fate of humanity in your... pause? Humanity is a bizarre but relaxing puzzler that takes Follow the Leader to its next logical step, if that involves whatever this is. The game has you playing as a spirit like Shiba Inu who has to rebuild humanity after a rogue AI destroyed it.
Questi che cascano a pioggia che vanno su come se fossero in ascensore.
You'll need to place directional and action tiles in order to solve humanity's increasingly complex but interesting puzzles.
Troppo
While the game may
forte.
seem difficult at first glance, thanks to humanity's intuitive controls and endless supply of humans, this game quickly goes from seemingly overwhelming to a relaxing brain exercise that's hard to put down. The gameplay in Humanity is more than just moving an endless supply of people from point A to point B. Throughout the game, you'll gain access to new abilities such as jumping, climbing, and later on, boss battles. The game's pacing helps keep the puzzler fresh and fun thanks to its intuitive controls and relaxing but weird art style. But Humanity isn't a total walk in the park. Eventually, as you progress through the game's story, you'll run into the others. The others are, well, other people who speak a different language but have the same objective as your more colorful cast of humans. The game will let you deal with these foes with various weapons such as bats and guns, which make for some visually satisfying circumstances. But the others aren't the only foes you'll need to face in Humanity. Since the game's main antagonist is a rogue AI, you'll eventually need to deal with the machines. This enemy
Bellissimo.
type takes a step back from the chaotic large-scale battles you would see with the others, in turn for a more stealth and platform-focused approach. All of which lead to eventual boss battles, which go from puzzle-based combat against your rogue AI foes to an all-out assault that's more bullet hell than a walk in the park. If a stage ever gets too difficult or you just can't quite figure out where to start, Humanity includes the option to watch a solution video on any map without any penalty to the player. This level of accessibility is definitely a welcome feature. One of Humanity's strongest features is access to a hefty library of over 8,000 user-generated maps that will keep even the most dedicated players busy for a long time after the credits roll on the campaign. User-generated stages also feature an XP incentive, so the more you play, the more you earn. Feel like you can make a better stage than anyone else? No problem. Thanks to the game's intuitive map editor, it's pretty easy to bring your creative ideas to life, just like this stage inspired by the Gears of War franchise. Like I said earlier, Humanity is one of those rare puzzle games that not only delivers on being a challenging puzzler, but also stays fresh and interesting throughout its nearly endless runtime. If you're looking for a puzzler that's a little different, but also has an emphasis on style,
a vedere questo spettacolo troppo bello.
Humanity is definitely worth checking out when it releases on May 30th on Xbox and Game Pass.
ID at Xbox is presented by Xfinity. Stay ahead of the game with Xfinity's blazing fast speeds and smooth, low-lag connection.
IGN has the most thorough, easy-to-use, and high-tech maps out there, period. And by high-tech, we mean it. We've recently added features like personal notes that save to your IGN account and a region selection tool that lets you cruise around the biggest maps with ease. IGN maps load faster with more markers than ever.
E voi lo sentirete sicuramente a livello normale, ma io lo trovo il volume al massimo.
You are playing for free at IGN Maps today.
How's it going, everybody? Benjamin Watts here, and you're watching ID at Xbox right here on IGN. Now, independent games come in all shapes and forms, from bite-sized to super-sized. And right now, Alan and I are about to check out the snack and slash action RPG, Hangry. Let's get into it. Now, Alan, how far into the game?
We're about 20 minutes into the game, and I love the term snack and slash because I feel like it's very topical for this game. As if the name didn't give it away, you are hangry. You can bite enemies, you can fight them. Everyone that you sort of encounter is like kind of ingredient themed.
Okay.
So you'll see right here, we got this enemy that's popping up. You can sort of lock on.
Oh.
And there's moments of it that like kind of remind me of like Souls-like games. Because you will get sort of like these really weird-looking enemies that you're just like, where did this come from? But then you can bite them to take a bite, and then recover your hungry meter, which is really fun. And then you can do this. Eventually, if I can stagger him enough, I can take a bite and do a devastating eat.
Oh, very nice. So who's the lead character in this? What's the name?
His name is Hangry.
Okay, so he is hangry in every sense of the word. And all right, he definitely looks he looks a little like Beast from X-Men, which I like, especially if he was a greaser from the 1950s. Got some slick back hair, got some leather jacket with spikes on the top.
Some spikes on the top right there. Look at he's a handsome.
Già così sembra una barriera di pizza visto questo colore.
Fella. Looking good.
Parte.
Some people are definitely into that Beast look from Beauty and the Beast.
That's true. So right now we are on the hunt.
Devi fare tutto il giro.
Okay. Bring back
per poter superare quella barriera.
I see another we got here. Right here. Spivey's a pickle croc.
Oh. I do love myself a pickle croc.
And then you can actually go and harvest them, and so you'll get croc garlic if you defeat those enemies. So the more ingredients you get, sort of better your score is. And there's always opportunities to sort of like stagger enemies and then deal sort of like a finishing blow with your eat attack, which is this guy right here. There's a few different bars to keep track of. So right now we're learning about cleaving foes. This is an alternative version of biting. So let's go ahead and take a look. We're going to go into this fight right here. We got two enemies that are going to be coming from the ground right about now. And let's go ahead and cleave them. Oh, I missed.
Yeah,
how bad?
They look appetizing.
Oh, but they taste delicious though.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It's like really good.
You're a big fan of the Crest Claw salad over here. All right. Ugh. Now, is there like the character? Like, are we, upgrading skills? Are we upgrading stats?
Yeah, exactly. So as you progress through your missions, you'll get different sort of objectives you can complete, and then also there's different assignments that you'll get to. Right now, actually, I want to show you the hangry mode, because it acts almost like if you remember like the rage mode from God of War.
Yeah.
It has a very similar sort of mechanic where you fill up a bar and then you can pop it to do a ton of damage, and that'll help you out a lot if you're in a pinch, getting overwhelmed by enemies. There's always something you can pull out of your back pocket to make sure that you don't actually end up going down. So you were talking about upgrades. You can evolve, and what I like is that there's actually different sort of anatomic things that you can evolve within your character. So your heart gives you like stuff like your abilities cost.
Beh, fino a qua eravamo. Ho visto, sono soltanto tornato un pochino indietro, però questo gorilla è troppo forte come si mette veramente a ballare.
If your health is full, and all of these have like different options within the tree too. So the higher in the tier you go, the better the upgrade is. And you can also upgrade your weapons. Right now we only have the arm blade because we are so early in the game, just about 20 minutes in. But I'm hoping that eventually we'll get bigger and better weapons that will deal extra damage. Right now we are encountering. These guys are a little bit difficult because they do a wider bat. Yeah, so they. The bats actually regenerate health, so you kind of have to like just focus them down.
I was like, what kind of food? It's like they're pizza, right? They're Hawaiian pizza. Okay.
Yeah, it kind of looks like a pizza.
Non so cosa possa c'entrare la pizza.
Pizzas are good. That's it.
I don't know about that.
What do you mean? You don't like pineapple?
You can also pop your hunter sense. Let you sort of track different larger enemies that are usually like the main objectives.
Okay. So I was like, I feel like you're going to detective mode for a second.
It kind of does act like that. If you like have ever played, the Last of Us games or like Arkham, there's always, you can sort of spot like the points of interest through that, and it acts very similar to that mechanic. Oh, I'm getting a few enemies right here, and boom, easy.
Pickle crocs, wine bats, we've got the crest thing. Crest, the thing with a massive eye.
So right now we are looking for the Goroza.
Goroza.
Alright.
Right
Goroza.
Not too many identifiers, but usually it'll pop up as like a blue sphere with like little like parts.
Cosa vorrà mai dire Gorosa? Fai anche la traduzione. Vero?
But usually it'll pop up as like a blue sphere with like little like particles coming out of it. So keep an eye out for that. If you do see it, let me know. Almost like we're in Dora the Explorer. Just be like, it's right there. But yeah.
And I can see as you're moving through the level, it's like it's giving you a footprint of where you've been as well.
Exactly. So that does help you if you're not sure if you already came from an area or not. You can sort of track your footsteps. They don't last for a super long time, so you do kind of want to keep an eye out on where you're going. But it is a nice thing because you'll be able to tell like, oh, I kind of came from this direction. Already check that out.
Oh, this is a new one.
Here we go. This is the Goroza we were looking for, I believe.
Oh, tornati indietro.
Your keep an
Non andate un pochino.
Crest, the thing with a massive eye.
So right now we are looking for the Goroza.
The thing with a massive eye.
So right now we are looking for the Goroza.
Goroza? Oddio, Goroza.
So right now we are looking for the
Goroza. Oh, peggio di prima proprio. Gorosa. Vabbè. Certo, in italiano la parola gorosa non l'ho mai sentita dire in questo modo. Infatti, potrebbe anche non significare un bel niente. Gorosa.
Right now, I'm not seeing too many identifiers, but usually it'll pop up as like a blue sphere with like little like particles coming out of it. So keep an eye out for that. If you do see it, let me know. Almost like we're in Dora the Explorer. Just be like,
right there. But yeah.
Yeah, and I can see as you're moving through the level, it's like it's giving you a footprint of where you've been as well.
Exactly. So that does help you if you're not sure if you already came from an area or not, you can sort of track your footsteps. They don't last for a super long time, so you do kind of want to keep an eye out on where you're going. But it is a nice thing because you'll be able to tell oh, I kind of came from this direction. Already checked that out.
Oh, this is a new one.
Here we go. This is the Garoza we were looking for, I believe.
Oh, this is a tart bear.
Tart bear. Never mind. I was wrong.
Okay.
On me. So this one actually has increased defenses, so you kind of have to stagger it first in order to start dealing damage.
I love just the design of these creatures. I'm trying to figure out, am I looking at some blueberries? It's like a pie. Kind of from the other side, it looked like it was bananas with syrup on it. I don't know, man.
It's got a bit of everything.
A little bit of everything. Oh, you're so close.
Come on. Come on.
Get that tart bear. Oh, what's this power you've got? What's this electric?
Yeah.
Whoa.
After this tornado?
Yeah.
Pretty cool, right?
Yeah, you got some good powers. I like the chomp effect. You actually see those teeth marks bite in.
All right, this guy's taking no damage, so I'm going to run away.
Yeah, obviously, Alan, it's always fun watching you play any game, but let's give this a shot. I want to do an IGN.
Adesso non sta per invitare
play the game together using
a giocare.
Are you up for that?
Col controllo.
Go, but let's give it a shot.
Well, knowing your skills, it can only get better. So here we go. All right, where are we headed?
So we're heading up here. We got to find the Garoza and take it down.
Oh, I don't want to hurt the bat. No, let's run away from that.
Okay.
Ow. Hey, I was on your side, and you just... Absolutely not. Oh, the pickle crocs. You're going on my burger, croc.
Then you hit A, and you should be able to harvest it.
Oh, yeah. Here we go.
All right, so we're trying to find the Garoza. And
Va bene, di nuovo Garoza.
Right side.
Pratico però quando dice così Garoza.
You want to go fight it?
Okay. Yes, I do.
Whereas it can run if you press it on the left stick.
Where am I looking? Am I going? Which?
Yeah, you got the camera, so we should be going a little bit further right.
Oh, I see.
That's it right there. That's where.
All right, and we're doing a clean kill. Oh, no.
Yeah.
Lo rende molto sexy. The Garoza.
I still make all my own.
Va bene, basta dirmi.
Yeah, we got 2 out of 3 ingredients. Almost there. Nice. Now hit right trigger.
Right trigger. Nope.
Hit right trigger.
Doing it. Am I doing it? I feel like I'm not doing it.
Just keep stabbing it.
Oh, just keep spamming it. Okay, can do.
You got it.
Take this, dude, tart bear.
Now hit Y. Hit Y a bunch.
Bam.
See how that throws up the bar below? There you go. We're almost there. Now,
Kill's complete.
That's what I'm talking about, dude.
Okay.
So now,
actually, it way better than I thought.
We take
a reward,
and then we head over to the diner to deliver it to our boss.
Oh no, it's a roll button.
If you go right here, how's A? That'll call it a nice little truck. You can look up to see it fly in.
Fly in?
Yeah.
Where are we looking?
We got a flying truck. See where the arrow's pointing? Check it out. There's our ride.
Hey,
coming in.
Is this a food truck?
Adesso si mette a volare come un uccellino qualcosa.
Delivery truck.
And check it out. It's got.
Vai, giusto.
Oh, even the little ramp comes out.
Do it. I'm ready.
And we're
roll.
Go.
Well, there we have it. If you're craving more, you can check out Hangry when it releases on Xbox soon. And for everything else ID at Xbox, keep it locked here at IGN.
Va bene.
ID at Xbox is presented by Xfinity. Stay ahead of the game with Xfinity's blazing fast speeds and smooth, low-lag connection.
This is Steve Downs, the voice of Master Chief, Sierra 117, and you're listening to Podcast Unlocked, the world's #1 Xbox podcast. Now, finish this fight. Master Chief, out.
You've just watched IGN's ID at Xbox showcase made in partnership with Microsoft. Welcome to Podcast Unlocked, live episode here right after that showcase you just watched. I'm Ryan McCaffrey, joined this week by Stella Chung. Hi, Stella.
Hey.
And Taylor Lyles joining us as well. Hello, Taylor.
Hi, thank you for having me on the show again, Ryan.
Well, absolutely. Let's dive right into it because that was 40-ish minutes of many, many games. As I was watching that, I was going, wait, how many games are in this? This just keeps going in a good kind of way. So I really thought there were a lot of what I'll call just rising stars here, just games that we need to really start to keep our eye on and pay attention to. Let's start with our favorites, and then we'll go through from there, because we've got plenty of time to dive in to everything here. This entire episode is dedicated to that entire ID at Xbox showcase that you just watched on IGN. So, Taylor, I'll start with you. What, give me the first thing. It's a word association test. IGN, ID at Xbox showcase, go.
Lost Records, Bloom and Rage.
Nice. That's mine too. That's a good pick. Stella, do you want to third that one? Or should we?
Yeah, no, honestly.
Okay, good.
Yeah, I thought that looked super cool. I mean, just immediately the camcorder footage, right? Like, I don't know, there's something about it that kind of just draws me to it. Maybe.
Sì, però sembra una città che avevo già visto persino in televisione, vista così. Probabilmente è stata presa molto nella realtà.
Because, like, we grew up using camcorders and everything, and it looked really interesting too. Also, it's from Don't Notch, so I mean, what can't they do?
No, you're right. I mean, and for me, as the...
Questa è proprio una figata andare in giro così, in una città del genere. A me mi avrebbe già la strizza. In un quartiere del genere.
Resident old on this panel. I grew up I was a teenager in 1995, which is when this game is set. It's, the timestamp, the watermark on the camcorder footage is June 1st, 1995. Set in the town of Velvet Cove. And as you mentioned, it's the folks that brought us Life is Strange.
Talmente sicuro quel
really
quartiere.
Good narrative adventures. And so, for me, it's 90s plus narrative adventure. Ryan McCaffrey is in. Like, you can just sign me up for this game right off the bat. It's saying it's out later this year, specifically just late 2024 for Xbox Series and Windows. So this looks like it might be an exclusive on the Xbox console side. But let's talk a little bit more about this one. Like, as we're watching the trailer again here on the playback, like, Taylor, what do you think what immediately sets this apart for you from Life is Strange and the other cool stuff that we've seen from this studio?
I think that it is going back in the 90s. Also, funny enough, 1995 was the year I was born. So
I'm really trying to make me feel old. And it's working.
When you were saying it, I was trying so hard not to laugh. I was like, 1995. I was born. I was like, April 1995. That is the month and year I was born. But just the fact that they are going back in time, setting this in the 90s, because all the other Life is Strange games, and even when they made Tell Me Why and Twin Mirror, they were all set kind of like that modern day or around that time, like when the game was developed. So setting this in a different time period, they have a lot more creativity that they can kind of leverage on versus just instead of just kind of pulling from whatever is happening at the time that they're developing it. I'm curious to see kind of what the music selection is going to be, because I feel every game that Don't Not has made, especially the Life is Strange games that they've made, which is just 1 and 2, I thought that the soundtrack was just perfect. So I really hope that they pick some real bangers from that just that year, or just that like decade starting with 1990 to 95, or like it looks like summer 95. It looks like these kids are about to go to high school.
Yeah,
so
June.
Their last
June
summer.
1st, so yeah.
Yeah. So, but that's really what excites me, is just seeing what they do when they kind of go back in time versus just kind of pulling and doing things like that. And what's interesting about even like the Life is Strange games, and just any of their narrative-driven games, is that they have themes that kind of focus and tie to that specific year that game is set in.
È stato realizzato con Unreal Engine.
For Lost Records, but I can't wait to kind of just dissect it when it comes out.
So, Stella, are you going to now tell me that you weren't even born in 1995? Is that the next step of this?
I was 2 years old, so...
Okay, good. I'm glad you were with us in 1995.
Yeah, so I was 2 years old. I am so curious about a lot of different aspects of this game, because I know that the Life is Strange games, the ones that have come out after, they've all kind of linked to the same universe, and it's really interesting because these kids have superpowers. There are some weird little like supernatural forces at work. So I'm really interested to see if this is going to tie into the whole Life is Strange universe, because that could be really cool. And I think that they have something really interesting going if they do. It's almost like a collection of little stories from different timelines in the universe. So I don't know. I'm super into that sort of aspect. Also, right here, when you see the camcorder kind of glitching over specific symbols, I'm like, I wonder if this is going to be like, what if it's some sort of like UFO discovery, or it's like some weird like supernatural discovery in some way. And I feel like mostly the kid at the end is joking about like, oh, if you find this, I'm dead, because kids are funny and like to make jokes like that. Yeah, but I'm like, okay, we all know that there's going to be something sinister and also heartbreaking, right? Because that's what Don't Nod's great at. So I'm trying to figure out what exactly it is, because it looks really great, and I mean, it looks picturesque so far. So what's the twist? What is it? I don't know. So I'm really excited to see this play out, and I wonder how they're going to do it. If they're going to do like episodic releases like they did before too.
It didn't seem to indicate that from that end slate screen there. It just seems like it's going to be a whole complete package of content that ships at once. But yeah, you're totally right about this. A, is it going to tie in? B, the supernatural side. Like I had to just double check my memory because as we've learned on this episode, I'm old. But I had to double check my memory, and thankfully it held up. I was like, I think Blair Witch came out after 95, if in terms of maybe that end shot of her saying, that, oh, she might die. Like, it could be like, oh, is it even referencing that? Like, no, it's not, because Blair Witch was 99. So that was not a thing when in June of 1995. But Taylor, I want to circle back to something you said too. I thought you brought up a great point about Don't Nod's track record with soundtracks. And B, the fact that this is set in the 90s, is it going to have licensed tracks? I have to imagine, my guess.
In poche parole, questo gioco è stato ambientato intorno agli anni 90, diciamola così.
My gut would say no, because this isn't like with no disrespect to Don't Nod, this isn't like a big AAA thing that's going to be licensing like, the Gin Blossoms or Blink 182 or something, right? Like, do you feel like it's probably going to just be 90s theme stuff without actually being recognizable songs from the 90s?
I could see them doing that, but I also
Però potevano cambiare anche le immagini, cioè sempre le stesse che girano, cioè che girano sempre con le solite cose dopo un po'. Dai, facci vedere altro.
So this kind of had this gut feeling that they might just try to find like some of that more obscure older stuff that was from the 90s that wasn't as big as like, Blink 182s and stuff like that, because even when you look at the soundtracks for the other games that Don't Nod worked on, even with like the first two Life is Strange games, the Life is Strange 1 and 2, because Before the Storm came out before 2, but point still stands, like you look at those soundtracks and you don't really see any, oh, I know who that artist is, or if you do, it's like still a niche artist. It's not like something that a general consensus would know. So I think they're going to do a really good job with finding some of those more obscure artists to kind of supplement the track, but it wouldn't surprise me if they could find some artists that have.
Però vedere queste immagini anche di notte potrebbe essere un bel perfetto horror come stile. Sarebbe benissimo.
In their repertoire, so but I could see it being a mix of both, but I really hope they just kind of stick to the bit and do pick like some of that very niche indie 90s music from that specific time period.
Maybe even some like one-hit wonders to kind of go along with what you're talking about, like stuff that where the artist would probably say yes because they'd be like, sure, you want to give us some money to bring that song back into the public consciousness? Yeah, that sounds like a great plan. We're happy to sign on to that. We'll see,
it's funny because well, I remember seeing the initial announcement for this. I think it was at the Game Awards last year, and I remember when I went to rewatch the trailer after the show ended, I was like, this kind of gives me like Stranger Things vibes, and I kind of dig it.
Yeah. It's go ahead, Stella, please.
Oh no, I was going to ask you a question, Ryan. What is it like to see this sort of resurgence of like 90s themed entertainment, right? Because I was a kid, so I remember very things of the 90s towards the end of it, but like, what, because, you know, we see Stranger Things, right? I mean, we see this resurgence of like retro vibes and music. And yeah, so what is it like to see that kind of infiltrate the gaming space now, too?
I will be completely honest with you. It's awesome. It really is, because, you know, we've gone through this, right? We kind of went through an 80s phase, and now like even with retro games, right? Where a lot of retro games had like 8-bit, and then it kind of, you know, 16-bit graphics were sort of a
raccontare un po' in
in
breve
modern
retro
retro
games,
games, but
la
now
parte
we're even starting to
grafica
see,
e...
granted it's moving into more a little the late 90s, 2000s, but even some sort of
Ah, quindi
PS1
siamo tra
era
gli anni
games
90 e gli
from a
inizi anni
visual perspective
2000,
on purpose. And so, yeah,
ambientato.
there's a reason that nostalgia sells, because it makes you feel good. And so I do love seeing games set in the 90s. Like it does make me happy. I'm not going to lie about that. Like it's pretty cool. So yeah, I think Taylor's point about soundtrack, I'm
Verrò a
gonna be now
dire che sia
extra
bello,
curious
prima lo
about,
dovrei
you know,
sicuramente
if
provare.
it's actual 90s music, great. But if it's just sort of
Prima
90s
di dirti
inspired
bello o
stuff, I'm still going to
brutto.
be curious to hear that as well. And, you know, the other thing I was thinking about with this trailer, now that we've watched it again a few times, is with the whole way it's set up, you know, 95, and I wonder if this is like their last summer before they all go off to college, because of the way the sort of the trailer was playing
Perché se
out.
si
So
fida solo del trailer,
we'll see.
è un po'
We'll see
pochino
about
come
this one, but
prova.
I guess I shouldn't be surprised that this found its way to the
100
top
all'infinito
of
sono
all of our wish
3-4
lists here.
immagini, non è che
Look at the corner of my
sia...
pants right there. That's very 90s. There won't
Vabbè,
be
il
any
lato
cell
grafico
phones in this game.
sicuramente
I can
non mi
promise you
fa
that, since it's set in
impazzire questa cosa.
1995.
What about those giant phones? Like, I just keep
Zach
my
Morris
Saved by
phone.
the Bell. Yeah,
Go full Saved by the Bell. Yeah, I mean, and since, although back on the soundtrack for a quick second before we move on here, since it does seem to be revolving around this group of friends that skateboards, I do wonder if it will be more like early grunge stuff, either in like Taylor was saying, actual licensed grunge stuff from the early to mid 90s, or just inspired by. But that would be my guess of where this game is going. And I've enjoyed some of the Life is Strange stuff. I haven't played all of them, but to me, these are, you know, Don't Nod is kind of carrying the torch that Telltale left behind when they unfortunately went under, and maybe they're still going with, maybe Wolf Among Us 2 is still a thing. It's kind of hard to tell at this point, but this game is right up my alley, and I'm glad all of us this stood out. So, all right, that was our initial top pick, but we will be right back here on this live episode of Podcast Unlocked, reacting to the ID at Xbox showcase that you just watched. We've got so many more games to talk to you about right after this.
Andiamo solo il succo, ma la
Welcome
pubblicità la
back to
togliamo.
Podcast Unlocked. You are watching our live episode recapping the ID at Xbox showcase presented by IGN that you just watched. We're so happy to partner with Microsoft there and the ID at Xbox team to bring you looks at a whole bunch of games. And we do mean a whole bunch. I should have counted. I did not actually count. I have pages and pages
Di
of
nuovo i
notes.
nostri
There were
due
a lot of video
amici.
games, a lot of them looking super cool. We started with one of our favorites there, which was Lost Records Bloom and Rage. But let's keep talking about some other stuff. Stella, I'll go to you here. What else jumped out at you that you want to talk about for a couple minutes?
Sure. You know what? I think we kind of have to point out Pal World. I mean, that's a game that I sank like 80 hours into with the first weekend it came out. So I'm really happy to see it getting updates. I was a little bit worried. I think a lot of players were actually kind of worried about Pal World because the developer had this track record of starting projects and then kind of stepping away from them when it didn't really seem to be working out.
Questo invece è un altro tipo di gioco, naturalmente,
That I think they finally found their stride
quello
with,
di
you know,
Palworld.
implementing updates, even if it was like little patch notes here and there before this massive update comes out. So I'm really glad that they're continuing to support it.
L'avevamo già visto
This does
all'inizio
seem like
live.
they are setting a sort of precedence with their players on what to
Veramente
expect
ci
with the
stanno un
game.
po' raccontando dietro le
Again,
quinte
like a lot of
di
people were worried that, oh, what
Palworld.
if they don't upgrade this? What if they also step back from this? Who knows? So it does make me happy that there's more content coming. There are new pals. It seems like there's going to be new guns, which is really fun. Energy-based weapons, and then also a flamethrower. I mean, that's cool. I think the frog is super cute. I don't know what he does, but he is so cute. So I'm really happy that they haven't run out of ideas yet, that they've been continuing to update this. Yeah, it will be interesting though, because I know that the player base did drop off just a little bit because there were a ton of like survival games that came out. But I definitely am going to keep an eye on the numbers to see how many people come back for this specifically.
Yeah, I mean, well, to give them some credit, and it's a reminder to everybody watching. I mean, if you're not currently playing Power World,
Molto stile giapponese.
this has been
Questo qui è proprio uno stile molto orientale rispetto ai standard
the
europei.
biggest hit of the year for Xbox so far. This thing has been huge, console exclusive, really got the year off to a strong start for Xbox. But yeah,
Anche solo questo tipo di fiore rosa dovrebbe essere un ciliegio. Anche questo è molto tipico, specialmente in paesi come il Giappone. Questi foglie rose qua, anche qui molto tipico giapponese.
there's, in fairness to the development team, there's almost nowhere to go but down for their player count after where they launched off to at the start of the game. You know, when the game launched, but yeah, this update I have in my notes. The new pals are a nunchuck-wielding frog, a turkey-looking thing, a bunny samurai (parentheses), and a weird reptile thing with a mushroom on its head and tail that looks completely harmless. So those are, I presume that those are really perfect descriptions. I'm sure you can't possibly know. They're the worst descriptions I could have possibly come up with while watching this, but
well, I'd love to see you name all these pals just based off those descriptions.
Yeah, I mean, I love the sort of, you know, the sort of Japanese garden here, the setting, like it looks great. I mean, you know, PlayStation had Helldivers 2, that's been its sort of big indie hit to start the year, and Xbox this has Power World. So, Stella, do you think you're going to go back in when this update drops?
Oh yeah, no, I'm definitely going to. I think I needed a good time away from survival PvE games, and now I can go back in and do it. But I'm so sad they actually apologized for this, which is the funniest thing. So they patched out the ability to catch dungeon bosses, because you were able to do that, and then you could use them as your pals, which I mean, I totally did. But anyway, so you could do that. But they were like, "Hey, we accidentally fixed that. We're so sorry, but." We didn't mean to, so don't be mad at us. And I thought it was just the funniest thing, because the community was like, no, we get it. It's fine, but that's just funny that you were never planning on fixing it. So I think they have a really good relationship with their community, and I love all of the communication they've been doing. And each time they do an update, they have so many details on their patch notes and like blog posts. So I'm definitely going to jump back into this because I like supporting them.
Taylor, what I know about you is that you play pretty much every video game, and I say that with the absolute highest of compliments. So, have you dove into Power World? And if so, how have you been enjoying it, and what did this update trailer do for you?
So the when I first played it, I was at a friend's house, and he was just vibing with it. He was showing me his base, and then I was like, okay, let me give this a whirl. And I was kind of enamored. I was like, wow, okay, this is so much more than just Pokemon with guns, because I know that was what it's nicknamed for the longest time. So, but I haven't had a chance to actually start my own file. But seeing this trailer today, I really want to play it now, especially because I really like the little mushroom pal. That's and so I want to wait for that and just get one, because he just walks around like a little goofy goober, and I want to build my own base, because I remember I had wrote a story, I think it was like a few months ago. Someone built like an entire city for their base in Power World, and I was like, wait, you can do this type of thing? And so I really can't wait to see what kind of building and crafting and stuff like that I could do with it, because the last time I kind of felt invested in building like a base really detailed was actually Fallout 4. So,
well, if you want to get ready for this update, you've got a little bit of time. It's April, and this update.
Quindi quello che abbiamo appena sentito sono solo alcuna parte delle giornate, perché qui all'inizio, quando aveva fatto vedere Palworld, era solo quello che era stato fino ad adesso. Adesso quello che stiamo sentendo invece adesso è l'aggiornamento che avevamo visto prima, in maniera molto veloce, soprattutto la modalità in cui possibile giocarci, ovviamente. Abbiamo visto questo da parte qua, insieme ad altri tipologie di giochi che avevamo sia visto qui con questo, l'approfondimento un altro tipo di gioco che velocemente dopo ci avevano raccontato poi in breve tutto quello che sia quello che aveva fatto ha sviluppato il gioco e adesso stiamo sentendo anche quello che poi dietro le quinte della ragazza che ha sviluppato Palworld. Più che altro gli aggiornamenti. Quindi è come se fosse un continuo quello che abbiamo sentito. Ovviamente per riuscirlo a capire bene dovevamo ovviamente giocarci, ma per chi ci ha giocato sicuramente potrà comprendere anche meglio quello che so.
I'm in the summer there, according to the end of the trailer. So you've got a little time to get your own save file going and get your feet wet, get ready to go. Next, I want to jump. Let's see here. There's so much on this list. Well, I'll go. One of you, I think it might have been Tail. One of you mentioned the Jackbox Naughty Pack before we started recording. So let's go to that. Which of you was that again that wanted to talk about that one that jumped out at you as one of your favorites? Taylor raising her hand. All right, a party game that's made just for adults. The live action trailer, which we're looking at again now, was very, very goofy. I thought it was very funny. So, Taylor, talk to us
E
about
questo sembra ancora un altro gioco ancora. Ah sì, Jackbox.
Jackbox Naughty Pack.
So I have all the Jackbox Party Pack games.
Pensavo che avesse creato anche Jackbox. Sentiamo un po' quello che racconta di Jackbox. Ma invece no, vabbè, censura, Dio censura.
So when I saw that they were gonna do a naughty pack, I was like, oh wow, this is so cool. It's kind of like when Apples to Apples was like the longest thing, and that was like a fun game. But then Cards Against Humanity came out, and I was like, oh, that's just basically Apples to Apples naughty pack in a sense. So now that Jackbox is finally giving us an adult-oriented party pack, I can't wait to see what they're gonna do. I mean, the party pack games are always goofy and just as goofy as the trailers, if not more. So I don't know what type of raunchy content we're gonna get or what kind of mini games they're gonna throw in this, but I'm pretty excited I'm excited to check it out.
Stella, are you gonna bust this out with friends?
100%. I think they finally realized, they're like, you know what? We wanted this to be inclusive to everyone, but then like they realized most of the people that play these games are adults who are just really messed up. So I'm really glad they're leaning fully into this, because I cannot tell you the amount of times I've done like community game nights and Jackbox has come out, right? Listen, even if you try real hard to suppress all the naughty things, people will find a way around them, all right? They do. So I'm really glad they're leaning into this. I think it's going to be really fun. I really enjoy Jackbox because it's really open to like anyone to play. It's so great. There's so many different games, and they're also really cheap too. Like you can always get bundles for their games, and it's such a fun party game. I'm really excited. I did not think I was going to see another Jackbox party game coming out. I'm legit. It was never, for some reason, it never crossed my mind that they could put out another one. So really happy they are.
I think this will be hilarious. I think it'll be great. I'm looking forward to breaking it out at dinner parties and adult friend nights. But
Wine Wednesdays.
I do want to make it a request. If Microsoft is listening to this, watching this, can we get a return for Seen It, the movie trivia game that had the special buzzer controllers? That, no disrespect to Jackbox. It's earned its success, but watching this trailer did make me think about and miss Seen It. Back when I worked at Official Xbox Magazine, we always had a ton of fun with those games. I'll shout out to my friend Dan Amrick, who's a huge game show nerd. He loved those games. In fact, there was an official like first party Xbox buzzer controller was just so good, and we need that back in our lives. So Microsoft. Could you
imagine if somebody made a Seen It, but it was called Play It, and it was just video game trivia?
Ooh.
Yeah, let's do it.
Hit me up, Phil. I got ideas.
Let's do it. All right. Let's go next to Actually, you know what? I'm gonna say we've got another break coming up in 2 minutes, so I want to talk about 33 Immortals for that time before we have to throw to another quick break and take another pause. So I'll just hog the stage here for a second, only to say that I had the chance with Destin, who unfortunately couldn't be here today
E
because he
questo è
is sick
bellissimo.
as a dog. We wish him a speedy recovery. Hopefully he's feeling better. 33 Immortals is a game
La
that
qualità è
Destin and I got
abbastanza
to play
altina.
together with the developers after the Xbox showcase last year. So this has been in the works for a while, and it played great a year ago, or almost a year ago. And then they're still, they're putting the final polished touches on it. The closed beta is launching very soon, 1 month.
Sembra un
May
simbolo
24th, launching into Game Pass as well.
molto
And
satanico.
it is just a really compelling co-op game. Like the 30, you might think, oh, well, 33, that can't possibly work. That's just got to be a chaotic mess. No, it actually works in my experience, where there are cool mechanics, which you see a lot of in the trailer too. My monitor's over here, so if I'm pointing over there, that's why. There are these co-op mechanics where it'll just give you these visual clues of, hey, one person's going to use their, I forget what it's actually called, but a super, like, just everybody else stand over here to help out with this. And you see here they're fighting Lucifer here, the boss that's showing off. And I just had, like, I came into this game thinking, all right, I'll sit down and play it. I don't know anything about it. We'll check it out. And I walked away really impressed by the way that it organically and very naturally encourages co-op play in this. So, Stella, when you watched this trailer, what were your thoughts on
Che
33
portale!
Immortals?
I thought it was just going to be chaos, so I'm a little disappointed it's not. But, as someone who is a newfound enjoyer of Diablo-like games, I am all for trying this. I think
Cioè,
it'd be really fun.
in stile sì, sembra molto quello di Diablo, visto così. Magari poi per quando perché per chi ci gioca potrà anche sicuramente dirlo. Che lo stile è quello. Cioè, apri il portale e trovi 8000 demoni che ti vogliono far fuori. Te devi stare lì a combattere per sopravvivere. Forte.
To see just how many people you can get into, because listen, I don't know if I know 33 friends. It's like, how am I gonna have like a whole lobby of friends, so I'm very curious to see what the community is going to be like when this comes out. So I'm curious. I don't know if I'm going to be good at this game, but if you'll have me, I will try my best to play support, because I love playing support in these kinds of games.
Well, and the good part is it's going right into Game Pass. So if you need help with the upping that friend count, they'll have a built-in audience thanks to Game Pass. All right, we'll talk more 33 Immortals and so many other games here in just a second. We'll be right back with more on Podcast Unlocked here, immediately following all of our reactions to the ID at Xbox showcase presented by us, IGN.
Grand Theft Auto 6.
Ah,
it's been a long
round
and winding road leading to the biggest video game of all time, but it's still so far away.
Trust.
Trust. But don't worry,
mezz'oretta.
IGN has just the thing to pass the time until Rockstar turns us loose in Leonida. GTFM, a brand new original show all about GTA.
Un gioco naturalmente molto famoso, questo RP come stile di gioco.
Tune in for hard-hitting Grand Theft Auto 6 analysis. Who is Jason anyways? The internet's biggest and most out-there fan theories.
I would make the argument that based on the universe, it's actually not Lucia.
Interviews with the most infamous stars of past Grand Theft Auto games.
Call me Franklin, all y'all want to say, or Mr. Clinton.
And so much more.
We are back.
For everything GTA, it's GTFM. Only on IGN.
Welcome back to Podcast Unlocked. We are reacting to the ID at Xbox showcase presented by IGN that you just watched along with us here. We're halfway into our reactions episode. We've covered a few different games that really jumped out to us the most so far. We just got done talking about 33 Immortals. So, you know what? I'm gonna throw to you next here, Taylor. I'm gonna give you dealer's choice. What game out of, like we were talking about earlier, this easily, like, at least 12.5 games, if not way more than that. Lots to choose from. What do you want to talk about next from this showcase?
I want to talk about Stampede Racing Royale.
Let's do it.
Yeah, I mean, it was it 60-player kart racer. That just sounds so chaotic. Like we're talking about, do we have like 32 friends that could play with us? So I was like, do I know 59 people that are gonna race me? But I was looking at it and it was very colorful.
Ma quanto è bello vedere questi personaggi sopra la moto, sopra questi mezzi flash verdi. Un'usata di fantasia.
I know the first thing
Bellissimo.
that comes to mind in terms of like art style and all that is
Grafica
Mario Kart, but I
stupenda.
don't know why when I was watching the stream, I kept thinking about Crash Nitro Kart for some reason, and I can't put my finger on why. I don't know if it was just like the I don't know, but can somebody help me figure that out? But it's giving Mario Kart vibes. It's giving kind of like chaos that
Lo
I remember.
stile è molto quello di Fall Guys, circa. Lo stile del gioco sembra molto Fall Guys, però con i personaggi un po' più fantasia. Questo mostro blu, queste robe qui strane.
From playing Crash Nitro Kart, I like the power-ups. They also kind of give me Mario Kart vibes, but it's just such a colorful kart racer. I don't know. We don't have a lot of like consistently good kart racers that aren't available, like that aren't just Mario Kart. I mean, I'm trying to like the last one I really enjoyed was the Sonic one. I can't remember the official name. I think it was like Team Sonic Racing, and that was like the last good one that I really enjoyed. That wasn't a Mario Kart game, so I'm excited to play this. I like that it's kind of like a battle royale. I'm not the biggest fan of the battle royale genre. I mean, I like Fortnite occasionally. I'll play PUBG every now and then, but race like a racing battle royale type. That sounds interesting to me, and just having that many players, like people just racing on the track at a time, like 60 players, that's a lot. Just imagine how much chaos you're gonna cause just from those power-ups alone.
I agree with you on like battle royale and racing. Actually, especially arcade racing like this seems like a really good fit. Honestly, I think that could work super well. And while I will say, while I definitely agree with you that it clearly gives off Mario Kart vibes from the gameplay, like there's power-ups, it's, there's accelerator pads on the track and stuff like that. For me, the art style actually gave me like Funko Pop vibes. That's kind of that's kind of where I landed with it. I mean, it's not exactly that, obviously, but that's sort of what came to mind when I was thinking about this one. But I'm with you. Yeah, I think this could be a really fun, just like log on with a bunch of friends, however many, whether it's 59 friends or 5 friends, and you're just out there. Maybe you work together in a little secret club to just take out everybody else before you then turn on each other. But yeah, you're absolutely right about Xbox not having necessarily a ton of great kart racers like this. So yeah, this is a good pick. Stella, what were your thoughts on Stampede Racing Royale?
Yeah, I'm not usually into racing games, even if it's something cute like this. I'm terrible at Mario Kart, so anytime there's a party, I heavily avoid it. But I love the customization on the carts that you can see. Like there's the cookie, with chocolate chip cookie wheels, which is really cute. I think that the customization is great.
Personaggi sembrano molto
Probably
lo
why you're like,
stile
oh,
lì,
it's
ma
like
il
Funko
gioco
Pops
è
because you can
molto
make them however you
misto.
want. I do love the colors. It kind of reminds me of the way that
Più anche i fuochi
Fall
d'artificio.
Guys is a battle royale. It's technically a battle royale, but like you have to go through stages, and especially seeing this like elimination screen.
Però lo stile finale del gioco è molto di più Fall Guys, anche senza le
Everything's really
galline in
arcadey and
mezzo.
super cute. And I think it's really nice that Xbox seems to be getting more of these higher party games. And we just want to play multiplayer. And, like, I don't know, this seems so cute and so fun. It seems like, you can take it as competitively as you want. I do really love that, like, game show elimination style of this. And I think that's the one compelling reason why I would probably play this as opposed to, like, playing Mario Kart.
I mean, look, if we can't get Crash Nitro Kart on Game Pass, I would love to have Stampede Racing Royale on here. And the more we keep watching this trailer, the more I'm like, yes, I'm getting that Fall Guys-y vibe too, which I gotta go back and play Fall Guys. Thanks, Stella. I'm gonna go back and play that. Yeah,
it's so fun.
Game.
Yeah.
While I'm gonna use my platform here on Podcast Unlocked on IGN, just like last segment where I called for a new Scene It game with the game show controllers. If Microsoft is now welcoming, if it wants more battle royale type larger multiplayer games, there is one, the original Xbox battle royale game that everyone wants to see again, which is 1 versus 100, right? The original Battle Royale. If you think about it, which I never did until just now, I was like, well, wait a second. You're narrowing down to 1.
Yeah.
So anyway, Phil Spencer, buddy, pal, friend, guy, 1 versus 100, we need it. But in the meantime, this looked really good. Stampede looks super fun. And just like, as somebody that's played a million racing and even just arcade kart racing games throughout the course of my life, just seeing this insane number of karts on the track is pretty cool in and of itself, especially when they're all real players and not just AI. So I think the Stampede folks might have something here. They're definitely onto something a little bit unique. Let me go now to a game that Stella had called out in our pre-show meeting here when we were just all sitting there watching this, waiting to come on the air. And that's a game we've seen before, but it's definitely, I would argue, probably one of the higher profile games out of the list today. Stella, talk to us about what you thought of Dungeons of Hinterberg.
Yeah, I'm really glad we got to see more of it because the last time I saw it was at Gamescom last year. And that's actually where I did the dev interview, which was really cool. And that was actually the first time that I'd heard of this game, right? And I looked at it, the art style is what stood out to me. I thought it was gorgeous. So it's really interesting. I actually
Questo
talked to them
dovrebbe essere
specifically
in
about
teoria
this. So the
l'ultimo
story
gioco.
is that we're following this law student who is just incredibly burned out. So
E poi dopo
you know
io
what she does
stacco.
to try to get a sense of peace back? She decides to go and hunt and become a monster hunter in the dungeons. So I loved that idea so much because I was like, I mean, come on, we've all experienced burnout. We've all wished that we could do something else as a career every so often, but this is like the extreme end of that. And the fact that it's also like a puzzle thing for each of these dungeons and the art style is so cute. I am so excited for this. And I love being able to see actual gameplay for inside the dungeon, some of the puzzles that you might come across. This gelatinous cube is so weird though, because I play D&D. So for me, I'm like, oh, it's just going to kill you if you step on it, but it doesn't. So, yeah, I'm really excited. It's so cute. It is beautiful. When I talked to the developers last year, they were so excited for people to try things out. They were really, this is so weird to be happy about, but they were like, yeah, we're so happy that you connected to the main character with Burnout. And I'm like, yeah, I mean, I wish we didn't, but you know, it's awesome. I think it does speak to people. I think we've all probably been curious about, well, you know, I wish I didn't have to work 9 to 5 to earn my food and stuff. What if I could just go hunt it, you know? So I think that feeds that feeling for me. And yeah, I'm really glad we're getting more of a look at what exactly gameplay looks like.
Taylor, your thoughts on Dungeons of Hinterberg, which is dropping onto Game Pass, so no excuse. Everybody can go try it out on July 18th.
Bene.
So the first thing I
sia
really just came
possibile
by
poi
was,
giocarlo per chi ha il
it
Game
looks like
Pass.
a comic book. I love the art style. I love how vibrant and colorful it is. You know, I really like, you know, I feel like we're getting a lot of like photorealistic games, which there's nothing wrong with that. I will play those games till I die. But every now and then it's good to have something that
I
has,
personaggi
you know,
sono
a art
stati
style that feels kind of
disegnati
comic
da
booky or
schifo
does like a
proprio.
cell shaded graphic like Bomb Rush Cyberpunk.
La
So it was
qualità
really
è
great to see kind of like
discreta.
more of just like all the different like seasons and different environments that you'll get to
No,
venture
così
off
non è
into.
bella.
I like that we saw more gameplay.
Non
I like the
mi,
main
non mi
character's
verrebbe
design,
molto
and
voglia
I
di
like how it kind of
portarlo,
just
cioè
is like a stark
fosse
contrast to like all
uno
these
che
monsters
avrebbe il
that
Game
she's
Pass.
fighting, but also isn't. It's so weird how it looks
Dalla
the same, but
grafica
also doesn't. But I think they got something good on their hands here, and I
non
hope
mi fa
that everybody who
impazzire.
has Game Pass, like me, will go out here and try it, because I think this looks like a really chill game, but also like very like, oh yeah, this is gonna have me on the edge of my seat trying to kill this monster for the 30 billionth time.
Well, it's funny you mentioned chill, because what we only get a little bit of in this trailer that when we had it up there a minute ago, but I also got to see this game right after Showcase last year, so last June, and we got to see a nice chunk of the town portion when you accept the missions, when you're just like wandering around the town and you go into the pub, the tavern. Here we go. There's a little bit of it here with some dialogue options, and like the way that and the actual dungeon crawling part of the game, I thought they really complemented each other really well from the demo that I had gotten. And now again, seeing it almost a year later. And so this is another one that's just seemingly gotten a ton of polish, because it looked great last June. And now here we are in April. and it's still not out for another 2 months until July, and it's just looking great. So yeah, this just has a very unique vibe. You know, certainly the art style is a part of that. I think you're both spot on with the sort of comic book comparison with the, you know, kind of the pencil or pen, the ink outlines on everything, which is pretty cool. So yeah, there's a little bit more of the dungeon bits, or excuse me, of the town bits. But yeah, this looks great. And you know, we complain, and I use complain in air quotes because really there's never a shortage of video games to play, but we sometimes complain about the lack of cool new games in the summertime. One of the takeaways for me from this entire showcase, of which Dungeons of Hinterberg is a good example, is there's going to be a lot of fun stuff out this summer on Xbox. So there will be no shortage of cool stuff to play, even in the summertime, which is, you know, normally a time maybe the AAA like mega blockbuster games aren't necessarily going to be shipping in the month of July when a lot of people are on vacation, on holiday, what have you. But
cosa?
I just thought when a lot of people are on vacation, on
il 18 luglio.
holiday, what have you. But I just thought this is now, honestly, this might be maybe the last time we see Dungeons of Hinterberg. Maybe it'll make a quick appearance in the June Xbox showcase, since it'll be shipping like a month later at that point. But
2 mesi siamo a luglio.
I've definitely seen enough to say I'm super excited to play this game in just a couple months' time. And yeah, it was definitely one of the standouts today at this ID at Xbox showcase, which we are still reacting to. There's still plenty more video games to talk about, so we're going to take one more break here, and we'll come back with more reactions, analysis, and just good old-fashioned video game chatter about the ID at Xbox showcase. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Podcast Unlocked. We are rolling
E vabbè, sono anche tutte le volte bentornati. Potevano tranquillamente tagliarlo. Ma direttamente un po' più sul chiodo.
We're not going to have time to talk about anywhere close to all the games that were in the showcase. A, because there are just way too many of them, and B, because there are way too many cool ones that we want to talk about. So we're picking and choosing our favorites here. And I want to throw to Stella here, because Stella, I know you mentioned as we were watching, this update to Vampire Survivors jumped out at you. Please tell us more.
Yeah, it's so funny because last year, they updated the game so that you could play co-op with up to...
Ma cosa gli fanno a Babbo Natale? Babbo Natale. Cosa gli stanno facendo a Babbo Natale?
Because last year, they updated the game so that you could play co-op with up to 4 people, which is, I don't recommend it. It is chaotic. It's so hard to actually coordinate because, listen, it's about survival, but like people are so bad at listening to each other. So I'm really excited. I am so glad that this game continues to get updates.
Bambini, Babbo Natale è stato sepolto.
I seriously love playing this. Like,
no, non è vero.
Your phone if you want to play, and it plays really well.
Non ti verrà sempre a portare i regali.
Here's the thing. Once you start playing this game, you can't stop, and you just want more. You want more challenges to unlock. You want more characters to unlock. You want more weapons and more upgrades because
non c'è bisogno di scappare così davanti a Babbo Natale.
As anyone should, you'll find that you will probably get up to all those challenges, unlock all the abilities, and power ups pretty quickly. So I love that they are constantly updating this. Also, this crossover is super interesting, Taylor. I know you haven't played yet, but you said that you were super excited about this specifically because of this.
Yes. I when I saw the Contra deal, I was like, what? I was like, huh? I was like, I mean, that's a choice, but I'm not bad about it. I really enjoy kind of like run and gun shooters, so Metal Slug and especially Contra. I think the last one I played that I really enjoyed was Blazing Chrome that came out a few years ago. So when I saw Vampire Survivors is going to get this Contra DLC, just watching it in action, I was like, oh, I'm hooked. I was like, man, this is the thing that's going to get me to play Vampire Survivors. Okay, I'm not bad about it. I'll play it. I've been meaning to try it anyways, so this was like the thing that was going to push me off the cliff.
Shout out to Konami for doing some fun, smart, and dare we say maybe even a little risky.
Però devo dire che la grafica di questa luna è fantastica. Quasi accecante, però è fantastica come luna.
there's
Molto
just, it's cool to
realistica.
see this Contra crossover. Like they did the classic thing. First of all, the trailer was a clearly like tongue-in-cheek, jokey trailer. They called it a quadruple A update. They called out the train action, the train gameplay, and then you think that, oh, okay, well that's it, that's the update, and then the trailer in fact isn't over, and it goes into the animated stuff with the Operation Guns Contra DLC. It's out May 9th, so which will also feature Brad Fang from Contra Hardcore. And I confess I have not played Vampire Survivors yet, so apparently, Stella, I'm waiting to be addicted as soon as I do play it.
Yes, it's okay. So here's the thing. I know it's only $5, which is crazy, and it's so good. I highly recommend it. Ryan, I think you would love this. I wasn't even into these types of games because I always thought I'd be overwhelmed by the amount of different builds you can do, but I realized that's kind of the best part of this controlled chaos, right? So you're getting all these different types of maps. I think this is a really good time for you to jump in when this comes out, because I think maybe you'll feel a little bit more familiar with like the run and gun thing, like Taylor. I am so excited to see how that's going to work, because my favorite guy, there's even a dog who like poops flowers and stuff in this game like as an attack, which is great. So it's just, I love that it fully embraces the chaos. And I'm so shocked that you haven't played this. This is totally something up your alley.
Well, since you are, I would say you are probably the most just technically skilled video game player at IGN. So you said don't play it in 4-player because it's chaos, but if you and I play it 2-player co-op,
Oggi che così sembra anche un filino violento.
Yes, I do.
Con tutti questi combattimenti.
Yes, but then also only if we can get the entire panel with Dustin whenever he's feeling better and Taylor in to play Jackbox party games.
Oh.
You know,
I'm down. Yeah,
Easy,
right?
Let's do it. Yeah,
exactly.
Easy yes to that. Yeah, that's a deal right there. Let's see. So we've got a few more minutes. I'm just wanted to go through. I want to call out just a few things, and if either one of you has thoughts, just throw them out. Commando's Origins was from earlier on in the showcase. This I liked, and the reason that I liked it, not because it's a World War II setting, because while I would say that World War II game fatigue has probably worn off because publishers and developers finally took a break from them, I like this game because it's got stealth elements. It appears to be a game that you can absolutely just stealth your way through and have a good time. As you can see, top-down perspective here, which definitely calls back to my youth of playing like top-down games like this. You see you're knifing dudes in the throat from behind them. You're setting traps. We saw you're sniping them from afar. You're doing the army crawl. You know, you're dressed up. You're wearing camo. So closed beta for this thing, again, in the summer. So if you need stuff to play over the course of the summer, this is going to be out there, and it's going to be day one on Game Pass for everything, for console, for on your Xbox console, PC, and also you can jump in and play it through the cloud as well. So this one jumped out at me. I like the idea of where this game is going, and I hope it plays as fun as it looks, personally.
Yeah, it's surprisingly brutal for a top-down game. I was not expecting that, and I really love the way that the sniper reticle comes up. So in terms of you like interacting with things in the world, I was very surprised by that. It's such a small detail, but it makes it feel a little bit more like, oh, I'm actually sniping this. That makes sense. I really liked that.
Let's go. We can probably crowbar in a couple more games here to say a few things about. I'm going to go to one that I believe, Stella, you had flagged, because it has cats in it.
Oh,
and that is Times and Galaxy. If we want to take another look at Times and Galaxy, they gave us an animated trailer, sci-fi game. You can ask different questions of, in this one, and it seems to be like a build a story kind of. That was the takeaway that I got from it. And I mean, I will admit I'm not quite sure exactly what this game is yet after watching this trailer, and I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but it's definitely colorful, and it looks like that you get points or you get rewarded for building a cool story with certain ingredients in it. Stella, did you take any of that away from this? Am I completely off? Like, what did you gather from this very interesting, very unique trailer?
I think you're on. Okay, here. I think your guess is as good as mine because I have no idea. All I know is that I saw like the mech space cat, and I was like, "Yep, I'm in." So I think it's interesting. So they mentioned journalists. I think maybe we're supposed to go and discover interesting things happening throughout the universe or throughout the galaxy. We're supposed to go and discover.
Che razza di posizione è questa? Cosa voleva farsi notare?
Interesting things happening throughout the universe or throughout the galaxy, and maybe we're supposed to pull cool stories out of that. Oh my god, and there's romance. I just realized that said you could clean my bunk anytime. Ew. So I guess it is kind of like a choose your own adventure thing with very interesting creatures, space travel, which is always a plus in my book. Yeah, it seems like it has a bit of everything so far, but that's just okay. Thank you, Tayo. Going back to the romance scene. Yeah, I have no idea. I think it looks fun. It looks like it's almost giving me like Rick and Morty, Solar Opposites vibes with the way the humor seems to be written. So yeah, I don't know. I'm interested.
June, we just saw it right there. June 2024. So just another thing to play in the summertime. Let's do one more game, and I'll throw to Taylor for initial reactions to this, because this one, I had some weird stuff in my notes on this too. Is first of all, the name of the game, it might win the achievement for this showcase of having the most compelling name. Like, just if we just put these names on a spreadsheet, like which one of these jumps out at you? And the game is All You Need Is Help. That's the name of the game. All you need is help. And I have in my notes, WTF am I watching? But by the looks of it, which we'll have the trailer up here again for you in a second, if this one's not jumping out at you from the showcase that we just watched. So it looks like you have to combine like a bunch of weird sort of Tetris-y shapes into whatever the level requires, and it's a 4-player game, super colorful. They're like anthropomorphic, like that one on the bottom looks very freaked out. But this looks like it was perhaps made with some herbal influences. And I mean that.
Oh, absolutely.
But this just seems
Questo pezzo mi sembra molto divertente.
Yeah, when it came on stream, I was like, "What in the Yoshi's Woolly World is this?" And I was like, "Got these Tetris blocks just waltzing around, got these goofy goober looking faces." You're just solving like puzzles. You can put little hats and glasses on, and that's cute. But I was so confused. But I don't hate this. I don't know. I will play a weird game. I've played some very weird things. But this, I think this might top it as like, oh, this might be the weirdest thing I'll ever play. And this is, I can think of maybe 5 other things that come to mind. I don't know why Mari Damasi is like the first thing that is.
That's a good call.
Yeah, but I was like, yeah, but this is just weird. Like it's just and then the ball was
La pallina
this goofy
a forma di faccette.
And the pink Tetris thing just had a little look of distress.
No, devo dire molto simpatico come sono stati realizzati.
Why are there soccer balls? Why are there so many?
Non si capisce neanche cosa sono, però.
I'll give you the last word here on All You Need Is Help.
Oh my god, I love this. Also, so there's that machine there, like the piece can blow the other pieces away. So I'm assuming there's something that lets you suck the other pieces to you so you can fill out the puzzle. It's like, I definitely think some herbs were involved, and I'm pretty sure this is best enjoyed with said herbs. But I'm so excited. This looks like the dumb co-op game that I need, because this is just, look at that. It looks so stupid and I love it. Like,
Così sembra un gatto, un'anatra, un maialino, un pulcino. Sembrano quelle alla fine. Sì, è molto stupido realizzato in questo modo, però realizzare un videogioco adatto per dei bambini può anche stare.
And you kind of need to cooperate with your team, but also it seems like, you know, what happens with any sort of co-op game like this. They're not going to cooperate. They're going to make it harder for you. So I love it. I think it's gonna be so cute.
And again, Game Pass, no excuse not to try it. Coming to Game Pass this fall. Well, there you go. That was, I don't know how many games we just highlighted there out of the dozens, the literal dozens that were in that showcase. But those were our favorites. Hit us with your favorite standout games from this showcase in the comments below, wherever you're watching us, whether it's on IGN or on YouTube or anywhere else. But this has been Podcast Unlocked. I want to thank both Taylor and Stella, as well as our super producer Tayo, for making this episode possible here right on the heels of this ID at Xbox showcase. And thanks to all the great developers who gave us all these awesome trailers so that we could put together an ID at Xbox showcase here at IGN. So with that, my name's Ryan McCaffrey. We shall return with another regular old episode of Podcast Unlocked next week.
С нами вместе в год.